Chapter 3978. Even if I want to be a bandit, I want to be a bandit who loves scientific research and culture. Rick was speechless at Lu Yan's words. Rick had thought Lu Yan said she would take off in half an hour because she needed to prepare. What was there to do? But she actually used half an hour to eat dinner. When Lu Yan was pretentious, she was very picky about the recipes and even had to check the ingredients herself. But if she suddenly wanted to eat something, it would be difficult for the chef. The two of them met in Rick's territory, New Orleans, America. The meeting place was one of Rick's manors in New Orleans. Although there were many chefs, most of them were foreigners. So when Lu Yan ordered a plate of Yangzhou fried rice, the foreigners standing in a row were dumbfounded. Mr. Rick, Miss Lu Yan said she wanted egg fried rice, but our chefs are limited, his subordinate reported. So Miss Lu Yan said that if she doesn't see Yangzhou fried rice in half an hour, she might be in a bad mood. If she's in a bad mood, she might not be able to go to Colombia. She's the most troublesome. Rick was speechless. So what should we do now? It takes 40 minutes to drive back and forth to the nearest Chinese restaurant, so I suggest you call the chef who cooks for Madam. Rick was enlightened. Why didn't he think of this? He was so busy that he didn't know what to do. When Cece was here, she wasn't used to Western food. Especially after she got pregnant, she missed the food from her hometown. Rick worked hard to find a mother who was studying here with her child to be a chef. Although the auntie's cooking wasn't at the level of a chef, her home-cooked dishes made Cece miss her hometown. She had been using her very well. Is Auntie Chui here? Rick asked his subordinate. Yeah, she's in Madam's mansion. Ask her to come over and cook for Ancestor Lu. Rick had no other choice. If he had any other choice, he wouldn't have gone along with Lu Yan. Lu Yan wasn't being pretentious. Her subordinates all knew that their boss's taste was changeable. One day, she might want to eat roasted sweet potatoes, the next day, she might want to eat spaghetti. When she was flying, she had to bring two chefs with her on her private plane. There were both Chinese and Western food. Therefore, Xiao Fei was quite lucky to be able to travel with her all the time. 15 minutes later, Cece's personal cook, Auntie Chui, carefully brought over a bowl of steaming hot egg fried rice. Miss, this is cooked by me. It may not be that delicious, and I don't have enough ingredients. I heard that you have a flight to catch, so I made a simple egg fried rice, not Yangzhou fried rice. You can try it. Auntie Chui didn't know Lu Yan's identity and thought she was just a rich Chinese girl. But his friendly attitude made Lu Yan feel comfortable. Auntie, you've worked hard. Have a seat, I'll try it. With a smile, Lu Yan pulled the plate over and scooped a small spoonful into her mouth, chewing carefully. Then, he nodded and gobbled up the entire plate of fried rice. Auntie, where did you buy these eggs? Lu Yan asked. I didn't buy them. Mr. Rick's wife's family brought them over from China. They're all eggs laid by the stupid chickens at home. They don't have any feed. They're very natural. No wonder it smells so good. Thank you for your hard work, Auntie. When Lu Yan was polite, she looked like a scholar. You're welcome. As long as you like it. Lu Yan elegantly took out a tissue and wiped the corners of her mouth. Then, she left a stack of things in front of Auntie Chui. She was shockingly fast. By the time Auntie Chui saw it clearly, Lu Yan was already far away. Chapter 3979. No one saw when Lu Yan took out the cash. Auntie Chui had a stack of US dollars in her hand. It wasn't very thick, but there were at least 50 US dollars. They were all 100 US dollars. In total, 50 US dollars was more than 5,000 US dollars. If converted to RMB, it would be around 30,000 yuan. Auntie Cui was a working-class woman. Her husband cheated on her and divorced her, so it was hard for her to raise her daughter. Her daughter came to the US with a scholarship, but she still had to sell her old house in China. So, she didn't have much money to live here. Fortunately, Rick treated her well. Ever since she came here to cook for Cece. In a month, Rick gave her 3,000 US dollars, which was close to 20,000 renminbi. That was a month's salary. She was very grateful. Cece was a good person. She wasn't picky and would often give her and her daughter gifts. She was already very satisfied. Now, she only made a simple egg fried rice, and this rich beauty in front of her gave her a tip of more than 5,000 renminbi. This level of extravagance left her flabbergasted. She didn't even dare to take it. Instead, she took the money and prepared to give it to her employer. Rick glanced at it calmly. He wasn't surprised. He had heard that Lu Yen spent money like water. Auntie Cui, take it. This is nothing. It's the ancestors' money. You won't be able to spend it all in a few lifetimes. Rick was right. Lu Yen had a shocking amount of money. Poverty really limited one's imagination. It was said that Lu Yen spent the most money on her 18th birthday. She bought herself a newly built building. It was said that it cost 10 billion renminbi. Lu Yen bought it for 2 billion renminbi. However, after she bought it, it was blown to pieces in less than an hour. When outsiders asked, she just calmly said that she wanted to test the explosive power of the newly developed bomb. Many people in the mercenary world talked about this. Lu Yen, the living god of wealth, was also an idol and legend in the mercenary world. After dinner, Lu Yen took a private plane to Colombia. She helped Rick transport the goods, and Xiao Fei went to the Golden Triangle. It was said that someone saw Xiao Nan there. Ever since Xiao Nan disappeared, Xiao Fei's father was anxious and wanted to find Xiao Nan. But Xiao Fei didn't know that Xiao Nan didn't dare to come back or show up because he was afraid of being killed by Lu Yen. So, he hid in the Golden Triangle like a coward. At this very moment Yunnan, in the depths of a primeval forest under the cover of the dense trees, a group of wooden bamboo buildings were hidden here. Is Suyu awake? The woman asked. He just woke up. His consciousness isn't very clear yet. Oh. Is that so? Then I'll go and see him in such a sorry state. The woman smiled and stood up with a bottle of red wine in her hand. After passing through a long bamboo forest, the woman came to a heavily guarded wooden house. The wooden house had no windows, only a door. It was very small, like a dog's hole. When the guard saw the woman, he bowed respectfully. The woman did not look at them. Instead, she pushed open the door and bent down to enter the small wooden house. At this time, Siu had just woken up, and his head was still throbbing with pain. President Su, we meet again. It's been more than 5 years. I really missed you. Every night, I would dream of you and dream of our reunion. Hearing the woman's voice, Siu slowly raised his head. He seemed to be unsure of what he had seen. You're not sure? Then I'll help you wake up. With a smile, the woman pulled out the cork from the wine bottle and poured all the red wine on Su Yu's head, drenching him from top to bottom. Zhao Qinya, I haven't seen you in a few years. You're getting better and better. What's wrong? Didn't you have enough prison food? Su Yu ignored the red wine on his head and chuckled. Chapter 3980. Now, Su Yu was certain that the person he saw that night was Zhao Qinya. That was why he was so shocked that he didn't notice the person behind him and the anesthetic needle flying at him. Everything happened too fast, in the blink of an eye. To be honest, if this woman didn't appear in front of him of her own accord, Suyu would have completely forgotten about this person's existence. 5 years ago, Zhao Qingya was a very popular actress. At that time, Jian Tong wasn't famous, and Mian Mian had just joined Imperial Star. Nia Lingxian hadn't become the best actress yet. Because Zhao Qingya was pretty and good at acting, she became one of the most popular actresses that year. Imperial Star also supported her, however, Zhao Qingya only wanted to sleep with Suyu. She failed to confess to him many times and then framed Hua Mian. Because she found out that Suyu liked an average-looking female doctor at Southside, she was jealous and used all kinds of methods. She was extremely despicable. Suyu warned her several times, but she didn't listen. In the end, after she failed to frame Hua Min, Suyu was furious and sent her to prison. Of course, it was also to let her reflect on her mistakes in prison. What Suyu didn't know was that Zhao Qingya was released from prison for medical treatment because of her illness after a year in prison. Since then, there had been no news of her. The person who shouldn't have appeared. Suyu knew Zhao Qingya's purpose very well. She was probably here for revenge because now, it wasn't just because Suyu sent her to prison for more than a year. It also involved an innocent life, and that was Zhao Qingya's younger sister, Zhao Xia. Back then, her sister was famous but suddenly went to prison. The rumors said that it was because the CEO of Imperial Star, Suyu, fell in love with the female doctor at Southside, Hua Min. So, in order to please his new girlfriend, he killed Zhao Qingya. Of course, it wasn't true. It was all made up by some unscrupulous small media outlets and some imaginative netizens. Unfortunately, Zhao Xia believed her. She was still a college student at that time, and she wanted to avenge her sister. He had no power or influence, but he wanted to trip up Suyu, so he could only choose the most impossible method. She committed suicide in Suyu's mansion and used public opinion to frame Suyu as the murderer. She couldn't explain herself. Fortunately, it was Suyu's birthday that day. He went to see Hua Min alone, so he had the opportunity to clarify things. Therefore, Zhao Xia's plot did not succeed. She had sacrificed her life for nothing. Later, after Zhao Xia's death, Suyu felt sorry for the Zhao family and even compensated them with a huge sum of money. Unexpectedly, Zhao Xia's boyfriend, the male Dr. Lu Zihai, came back to avenge his girlfriend. This led to a series of conspiracy theories. After Lu Zhi's crushing defeat, he once again fled overseas with his tail between his legs. Before he left, he even warned Hua Min that this matter was not over. At that time, Lu Zhi must have known that Zhao Qingya would come back for revenge, right? Yes, everything had happened a few years ago. Now that Suyu thought about it, it felt like a lifetime ago. If he didn't see Zhao Qingya in person and this familiar face, he really would have forgotten about this grudge. Shut up. You bastard, you almost killed me. You also killed my innocent Xia. People like you don't deserve to live in this world. You should go to the 18th level of hell. Zhao Qingya's eyes were filled with deep resentment. She was so agitated that she used the empty wine bottle to hit Suyu's head. Instantly, the wine bottle smashed into pieces. A flower of blood bloomed on Suyu's head. Instantly, Suyu felt his head go numb. His body swayed, and he fell to the ground. Chapter 3981. Aren't you very powerful? Aren't you the young master of the Su family? Aren't you omnipotent? Ha 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 ha. Zhao Qingya looked at Suyu, who was being tortured, and laughed maniacally. The thrill of revenge swept through her body, and she even felt that every cell in her body was waking up. Cut the crap. Kill me if you want. I don't have time to reminisce with you. Suyu's voice was very weak. He couldn't fight back because Zhao Qingya had become stronger. It was because Su Yu was still under the anesthesia. He had just woken up, but his hands and feet were still controlled by the drug and couldn't coordinate well. Therefore, even though he saw the wine bottle Zhao Qingya threw at him, he couldn't fight back. Su Yu couldn't fight back. You want to die so soon. You're so spineless. President Su, tell me, are you a coward? Zhao Qingya squatted on the ground and reached out to pull Su Yu's bloody hair. I don't know if I'm a coward or not, but I know you're a bitch. Su Yu rarely cursed, but Zhao Qingya was really annoying. Back then, he was so annoyed that if she wasn't an actress in his company, he would have kicked her out. However, this woman didn't learn her lesson and kept doing extreme things. Do you regret not killing me in prison back then? Zhao Qingya smiled, so you didn't say anything. His head was starting to hurt. He didn't know if glass shards had entered his scalp, but he felt very tired and in pain. You saints! You're doing dirty things while telling us to turn over a new leaf. Why do you have to give yourself the reputation of being a good person? Why? You're not as good as Hua Xiqin in this aspect. He basically gets rid of people. If you killed me back then, you wouldn't be here now. So, what's the saying again? Every dog has its day, right? If you want revenge, just do it. What's the point of talking so much? Su Yu said with disdain. He didn't even want to look at this woman. Don't worry. I'm not done yet. President Su, my dear President Su, aren't you curious how I got to where I am today? Su Yu only recognized Zhao Qingya, but he didn't observe her closely. He could still recognize her because her outline was still there. But in fact, Zhao Qingya was very different from 5 years ago. She's had facial surgery, but it was only slightly, so she still looked the same as before. But upon closer inspection, one would find that her eyes' had changed color. It was a slightly green light, especially in the middle of the night. Just like some wild beasts in the mountains, this was a very popular thing in foreign countries recently. It was called pupil tattoos. It was to use chemical potions to change the whites of one's eyes into the color one liked. It was very dangerous and was banned overseas. It was also called a game for lunatics in the black market. Zhao Qingya's pupil tattoo was only a little. She had tattoos all over her body, including her butt and toes. She hadn't had a good life in the past few years. It could only be said that she wouldn't be as glamorous as before. That kind of rich and glamorous life where she had tens of millions of fans, her salary was easily in the 8 digits, and many men fell at her feet. Back then, when I was in prison, I was so desperate that I wanted to commit suicide. I even was raped by those damn female prisoners. You don't know how perverted it was. In fact, I should have let you go to prison and experience my pain. Zhao Qingya smiled. Then, she reached out and lifted Su Yu's chin. Look at me, Su Yu. She said. Chapter 3982. Su Yu lowered his head, blood still trickling down from the wound on his head. The warm blood flowed between Zhao Qingya's fingers, making her even more excited. You might not know the price I paid to escape from that inhumane prison. My fan. Oh, little Y is a crazy fan of mine. When he found out that I was in prison, he was thinking about how to get me out. However, he was an overseas Chinese and didn't have enough power here, so he could only choose a very dangerous and extreme method. That is, the book he gave me was laced with tuberculosis. I dipped it in my saliva and successfully contracted the virus. Then little Y paid a huge sum of money to bail me out for medical treatment. Luckily, I was lucky enough to survive such a serious case of tuberculosis. Ha ha ha. God let me live for one reason, and that is, to wait for this day, the day I get my revenge. Although Zhao Qingya said all this with a smile, there were tears in her smile. She downplayed tuberculosis, but it was actually a very serious disease that could endanger one's life at any time. Also, it could be transmitted to others. So you didn't say anything and continued to listen to her. For the past 5 years, I've been thinking about coming back to China, to find you. I've been looking for an opportunity. I've been saving my energy. I've been holding it in so that I can be fully prepared. Okay, Miss Zhao, you win. Hurry up and do it. I'd rather see the king of hell than see your widow face. Suyu really didn't like Zhao Qingya. He hated her before, he hated her now, and he wouldn't like her in the future. Therefore, he always tried to provoke Zhao Qingya so that she would kill him. Now that he was in her hands, he wouldn't have an easy time. Do you want to die? It won't be that easy. I haven't had enough fun yet. Do whatever you want. Steam, boil, stew, whatever. If I make a sound, then I'm not a real man. Suyu sneered. Suyu used to be in the special forces, so his dignity and courage were ingrained in his bones. He knew that he wouldn't have an easy time after hearing Zhao Qingya's crazy behavior. This woman was most likely mentally unstable. She had lived with hatred for 5 years. Come to think of it, it made sense. How could he still be like a normal person? Therefore, the moment he was captured, he was already prepared not to return alive. Everyone had their own fate. He was indeed soft-hearted and didn't eliminate the source of the problem, which led to Zhao Qingya coming back for revenge. In the unseen world, everything was fated. Therefore, at this moment, Suyu accepted his fate. However, he wasn't afraid. Since he was going to die anyway, he had to have a backbone until the end. He wanted everyone to see if the men of the Su family were truly strong men with the characteristics of northern wolves. You're still so cute. You know, back then, I was mesmerized by your fearless temperament. Suyu. Why are you still so cute? If it wasn't for all that happened between us, I really want to become your wife and fly together with you. Don't disgust me. I won't marry a whore. Suyu sneered, and then a drop of blood flowed down from his forehead. At this moment, his handsome face had an indescribable sense of beauty. Ha ha ha. But you're going to die in the hands of a whore. Suyu, tell me. Isn't this karma for you? Zhao Qingya seemed to be very proud. She knew that Suyu was powerless now. He was like an ant that she could crush at any time. So be it. I'll be a man again in 18 years. To be honest, Suyu was never afraid of death. He wasn't afraid when he was in the army, and he wasn't afraid now. I know you're not afraid. That's why I won't let you die. But do you think, if I let Huamin come here to accompany you, would you be happier? Zhao Qingya smiled sinisterly. When Suyu heard Huamin's name, his heart suddenly trembled. Indeed, she had hit his sore spot. The whole world knew that Huamin was Suyu's weakness. It had always been so for 5 years. Chapter 3983. Zhao Qingya, I'm warning you. If you dare to touch Mian, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Suyu didn't shout or get agitated. He only said these words calmly. However, his words were very intimidating. It was because he could still speak calmly under such an atmosphere that it showed how much restraint he had. As expected. You're still as despicable as ever, Suyu. Zhao Qingya's eyes curved into slits as she smiled. She seemed to have expected Suyu's reaction. In the past 5 years, he had never left Huamin. He used his good friend to protect her. As long as something happened to Huamin, other than Qin Chu, Suyu was always the first to arrive. Back when Zhao Qingya was overseas, she received information about Su Yu and Huamin. She was so jealous that she almost went crazy. The information was very clear. In order to save Huamin, Su Yu pointed a gun at his temple and threatened his grandfather to save him. In order to protect Huamin, Su Yu let her stay with the Su family for an entire year while she was pregnant. When Huamin went into labor, Su Yu was the one who stayed with her from the beginning to the end. During the 4 years that Qin Chu was recuperating in the United States, Su Yu took care of the twins and Huamin. Su Yu always helped to organize Huamin's birthday celebration. It was even grander than Imperial Star's anniversary celebration. In the past 5 years, Su Yu had been involved in many scandals, but there was no one by his side. He played the role of a knight from the beginning to the end, protecting his princess. Even if his princess didn't have him in her heart, even if his princess and her husband got back together. Even if his princess was pregnant with her second child and the whole family was happy. Even if Su Yu had been mocked by his friends for being a bachelor for the past 5 years, he didn't care anymore. For Huamin, he had already sacrificed a man's most precious youth. And the most sincere heart. At first, Zhao Qingya thought that Su Yu's pursuit of Huamin was just a spur of the moment and wouldn't last long. Even if he managed to get her, he would get tired of her after playing with her for a while. But he didn't. Many people were shocked when they found out about this. Everyone would think that you are actually this kind of Su Yu. What playboy! What playboy! These were all just on the surface. Su Yu's heart was as pure as a child's. He was as persistent as a madman. As expected, men value what they can't get the most. Huamin is also a powerful person. She has been keeping you in suspense for the past 5 years. She didn't agree to be with you, but she didn't reject you either. She used you as a spare tire. I'm afraid that if Qin Chu doesn't come back, you'll be her second choice. Zhao Qingya hated Huamin to the core. Her hatred was no less than her hatred for Su Yu. Mian has never been like that. Don't slander her. Huamin's rejection of Su Yu was very clear. She never gave him any hope. The person involved knew this best. Forget it. Do you think Huamin is really a goddess? She's just a scheming bitch like me. To think that you've always treated her like a treasure. She's so powerful. She's playing with the 2 most outstanding men in the world. They risked their lives for her. Now that she's pregnant with her second child, she's still talking about it everywhere. Does she meet you in private often? Zhao Qingya, watch your mouth. Su Yu was angry because Huamin was demonized by Zhao Qingya. What? I only scolded her a few times and your heart aches. You can't take it anymore. If I catch Huamin and torture her in front of you, will you go crazy? Zhao Qingya smiled smugly. You can't catch her. Hee hee. You don't have the ability. Su Yu thought Huamin's protection was top-notch. Other than Qin Chu's men, his men, and Lu Yan's men were secretly protecting Huamin. It would be harder than reaching the sky to touch Huamin. Su Yu, let's do a fun experiment. Let's see if the woman you've sacrificed everything for is worth it. Zhao Qingya took out her cell phone and dialed a number. Su Yu suddenly had a bad feeling. Chapter 3984. When Huamin received Zhao Qingya's call, she happened to be in the bathroom of the master bedroom of South Hill Manor. She had prepared a lot of new clothes for the second child, but baby things definitely couldn't be washed in a washing machine. Therefore, she secretly washed the clothes with her hands behind Qin Chu's back and tried to be a competent mother. Of course, Huamin was also absent-minded when she washed the clothes. She vaguely remembered that not long ago, Su Yu said that when the kid was born, he would give him a Lamborghini. At that time, Huamin said that it was useless to buy a Lamborghini at such a young age. It was more useful to buy a model. Now that she thought about it, Huamin regretted not having a good chat with Su Yu. Now that she didn't know where he was and whether he was dead or alive, her mood fell to the bottom again. When her phone rang, she glanced at the caller ID and hesitated for a moment. Because there was no caller ID, the caller ID was empty. This was a very strange thing in itself. If it was in the past, Huamin might have treated it as a scammer and ignored it. But it was different now. She wouldn't let go of any call because she had a feeling that there might be some clues about Su Yu's matter. As expected, perhaps it was because of her telepathy, Huamin quickly wiped her hands that were covered in foam. Then, she picked up the phone and said in a low voice, "Hello. Dr. Hua." It was a woman's voice on the other end. "You are. Do you want to hear Su Yu's voice?" Her voice was filled with mockery and contempt. Hearing Su Yu's name, Huamin's heart skipped a beat. "Who are you?" Huamin's voice was even lower. "Don't worry about who I am. Su Yu is in our hands. Come, Lord Su, the great Lord Su, who is not afraid of anything, say something to your sweetheart." Zhao Qingya put the phone close to Su Yu's ear. Su Yu didn't say a word. "Su Yu, is that you? Is it really you? We're all looking for you. Where are you?" Huamin was very anxious and kept asking questions. Unfortunately, Su Yu only listened and didn't say anything. "Oh, why, are you worried? Are you afraid that your sweetheart will come to save you?" Zhao Qingya raised her high heels and stepped on Su Yu's bleeding head. "Don't you miss your lover? After all, Huamin is so important to you." Su Yu raised his head and glared at Zhao Qingya. That look in his eyes was as if he wanted to tear her apart. "All right, since you're not saying anything, then I'll say it." Then, Zhao Qingya picked up the phone and put it to her ear. "Huamin, listen up. Su Yu is in my hands. If you don't want him to die, then do as I say and come alone. Don't call the police or tell anyone. Remember, come alone. If you dare to play any tricks, I'll immediately skin Su Yu alive and send the dismembered body back to you. Don't you like to do medical research the most? You can take his body to South Side as a human specimen." Ha 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 ha. Zhao Qingya had really gone crazy. When she was talking to Huamin, she also went crazy. From asking Huamin to come alone to dismember Su Yu and turn him into a human specimen. Huamin was about to cry when he heard this. "Don't hurt Su Yu. I'm willing to do anything." Yes, Huamin only said one sentence. He said it very calmly. "Ha ha ha. You're indeed loyal. Su Yu didn't love you for nothing." "Su Yu, listen," your sweetheart said. "Don't hurt Su Yu. I'm willing to do anything." Zhao Qingya imitated Huamin's tone and finally provoked Su Yu. "Zhao Qingya, fuck your ancestors," Su Yu cursed with bloodshot eyes. On the other end of the phone, Huamian finally confirmed that Su Yu was indeed in this person's hands. "Wait, what name did she hear Su Yu say?" "Zhao Qingya." Chapter 3985. Before Huamin could react, Zhao Qingya took over the phone and continued speaking. "Huamin, don't try to play any tricks. If you dare to talk to anyone else, or inform your friends, or get your invincible sister, Su Yu will be dead. Don't play any tricks. If I can capture Su Yu so easily, I naturally have a way to know your whereabouts. Then how do I contact you, and how do I go to the place you mentioned?" Huamin asked hurriedly. "I'll call you again. Anyway, don't worry. I know when it's convenient for you to pick up the phone." Then, Zhao Qingya hung up. Huamin's heart turned cold. Zhao Qingya's last sentence was to know when it was convenient for her to pick up the phone. Did this mean that he was already under her surveillance? Thinking about it, it had been a day. She only received calls when she was in the bathroom. She didn't receive any calls when she was with Qin Chu. He was going to look into Zhao Qinya's background, but this woman didn't seem to be simple. In order not to let Siyu get hurt, Huamin didn't dare to act rashly. After taking the call, she was no longer in the mood to continue washing clothes. Instead, she simply tidied up and went back to bed to rest, thinking about the whole incident. If Zhao Qinya kidnapped Siyu, her motive was obvious. She wanted revenge. Huamin suddenly remembered what Lu Zhe said to him before he left. At that time, Lu Zhe should have known that Zhao Qinya would come back for revenge. Because they were both seeking revenge for Zhao Xia's death. Huamin lay flat on the bed and closed his eyes, trying to calm himself down. On the other side, after the call, Zhao Qinya looked at Siyu with disdain. "Are you happy to see your old flame?" Siyu glared at her and tried to stand up with all his might, but his body wouldn't listen to him. He swayed as if he was drunk. "What? You want to kill me? Why don't you take a look at yourself? You're as pathetic as a dog." Zhao Qinya kicked Siyu in the abdomen, and he fell to the ground, unable to fight back. "Call the doctor over. Give him some simple treatment and send some food over," Zhao Qinya instructed before she left. Walking out of the wooden hut, she felt refreshed. "Miss Zhao, Mr. Y is looking for you," a subordinate reported. "Got it." Zhao Qinya nodded and walked toward the main building. On the chaise lounge in the main building, a middle-aged man in his 40s was lazily leaning on it. Beside him, there was a young girl wearing only underwear, giving him a massage. The scene could easily make one's imagination run wild. Zhao Qinya wasn't surprised to see this. When she walked in, Mr. Y was puffing away, enjoying the ultimate pleasure. Come, Yaya. Become an immortal with me." The man waved his hand. Zhao Qinya walked over obediently, lay on the bed, and took a deep breath of the smoke. A look of enjoyment immediately appeared on his face. "How is it? Is the food in Yunnan pure?" the man asked with a smile. "Not bad. It tastes good." Zhao Qinya nodded in satisfaction. "You've seen Siyu. Emichim, how is he?" "As pathetic as a dog. We can do whatever we want to him." "Did you call him?" "Yes." Huamin agreed. "Yes. Very good. I'm actually curious why Master wants Huamin to come. Is Master interested in that bastard Huamin too?" Zhao Qinya was curious. "Master's business is none of our business. Just do your job well. When can Huamin get here?" "I think, within 3 days." Zhao Qinya was smug as she began to plot against Huamin. Chapter 3986. That night, Qin Chu practiced piano with the twins for a while downstairs. Mr. Qin had been spoiling them more and more lately. It seemed like he had even put work behind him. GK hadn't worked overtime for a long time. Even the employees said that the president was becoming more and more humane. The truth was, Qin Chu just wanted to spend more time with his wife, kids, and family. Career, money, power, all of these were endless. Only family was the most important. Of course, the older one got, the more they understood this. Huamin walked downstairs with a heavy heart and saw this heartwarming scene. Pudding was sitting on a high chair beside the piano with a microphone in her hand. Little Bean was sitting in Qin Chu's arms, playing the piano with her chubby fingers. The song she was playing was Huamin's favorite nursery rhyme, Little Sunday. Little Bean played the piano while Pudding sang. It was a perfect match. Huamin saw from afar that Mr. Qin lowered his head with a happy smile on his face. She didn't have the heart to interrupt such a heartwarming scene. His grandparents were recording a short video. Huamin knew that ever since his in-laws became addicted to WeChat, they often posted on their WeChat moments. 9 out of 10 WeChat moments were about the twins. After the song ended, Pudding looked up and saw her mommy standing on the second floor. "Mommy!" she called out with a smile. Little Bean immediately turned her head and acted cute. "Mommy, did you hear that? How did my sister and I work together?" Huamin walked downstairs with a smile. "It was great." "Really?" Little Bean looked like she didn't believe him. "Really? You and your sister did really well. I think you guys can talk to your daddy and perform at our company's annual party at the end of the year." Little Bean rubbed her head against Qin Chu's chin like a spoiled child. "Comrade Qin, what do you think of Dr. Hua's suggestion?" "Comrade Qin, I think it's a great suggestion." Qin Chu's face was full of love. "Daddy, how much should we pay for our appearance?" Little Bean asked wittily. "There's an appearance fee." Qin Chu laughed involuntarily. "Of course, but since you're our daddy, we can make it cheaper. Isn't that right, sister?" When Little Bean was in a good mood, she would be very polite and call her sister. If he was angry, he would just call her Qin Zhao Zhao. Everyone in the family was used to the way the two children spoke. "I'm fine with anything." "Daddy, I'll give it to you," Pudding said coldly. "You two brats. You're always thinking about how to scheme against us. Isn't our money going to be yours in the future?" Huamin tried his best to maintain a smile on his face, looking no different from his usual self. "Who said that? It used to be, but it's not anymore. After Qin Guogua came out, all the money is his. We should take as much as we can." Little Bean pouted. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard Qin Guogua. Her son clearly had a very famous name, Qin Yuyao, but his two sisters always called him Qin Guogua. From the looks of it, he would definitely have to take the blame in the future. "Mommy. It's Saturday tomorrow night. Let's watch a movie together." "Oh, are there any good movies coming out recently?" Huamin hadn't paid attention to these things for a long time, so she only asked when Pudding brought it up. "Yeah, I heard that Disney released a really good animation." Before Pudding could finish, Little Bean interrupted her. "Yeah, it's called Dream Chaser. I heard it's very good. The English teacher recommended it to our class the other day. Disney animation. Of course we have to watch it. But, honey, are you free tomorrow? If you're not, I'll take them." Before Huamin could finish, Mr. Qin immediately answered. "I'm free. But don't you have a lunch appointment with a client tomorrow afternoon?" Huamin asked with a smile. Chapter 3987. We can change the time for dinner, but we must watch the movie with our daughters. Mr. Qin said this in a serious tone, as if he was making important decisions in a board meeting. "Oh yeah. Long live Daddy. Long live Mommy." The two children's suggestion was accepted by their parents. In the adult's life, there were hundreds of things to do every day, and the children's matter was just one of the most trivial things. But in the children's world, this was their only thing. If the adults didn't agree, they would lose their plans and expectations for the next few days. Qin Chu was famous for spoiling his daughters. He had never scolded them, even if they made mistakes. Huamin was more strict. If Mr. Qin played the good cop, she could only play the bad cop. Therefore, she was stricter with the twins. But that didn't stop them from loving their mother. "Ha! I'm a bit hungry. I'll ask Grandma Wu to make some food." Little Bean said and jumped down from her daddy's lap. The Grandma Wu she mentioned was the cook at South Hill Manor. She was the head chef and had 2 assistants. It's late. Grandma Wu is going to bed. What do you want to eat? Mommy will make it for you. Huamin stopped Little Bean and picked her up. Frightened, Mrs. Qin ran over from the sofa and carried Little Bean down. Little Bean, you can't let Mommy carry you. Mommy has a little brother in her belly. I know, Grandma. I didn't let Mommy carry me. Mommy carried me first. Little Bean looked wronged. Huamin pinched Little Bean's face lovingly and walked over to pat Pudding's head. Mommy is free tonight. You two can order whatever you want to eat. Little Bean tilted her head and thought for a moment before saying, Mommy, I want to eat your radish meatball soup. Yes, yes, yes. I want to eat egg pancakes too, Little Bean added. No problem. I'll make it now. You two wait here with Daddy. Honey, I'll help you. Qin Chu got up to follow Huamin to the kitchen, but she pushed him out. I really don't need you. It's very simple. Hubby, just wait for me. I'll make more for Mom and Dad to eat. After that, Huamin went into the kitchen alone. Mommy seems to be in a good mood tonight. She actually made us supper. Little Bean knew that radish meatball soup wasn't easy to make. Mommy hadn't made it for a long time. Yeah, Mommy looks a little different tonight. Pudding seemed to have sensed something as well. Maybe she just wants to do something for us. Qin Chu guessed. After supper, Mama Qin and Mr. Qin took the 2 kids to the hot spring at the back of the house. They wanted to give the kids some time to digest their food. Qin Chu saw that Huamin's feet were a little swollen, so he let her sit on the big bed in the bedroom and gave her a massage. Mian, you seem to have something on your mind tonight. Aw. No. I'm very happy tonight. I like to spend time with my family like this. Is there really nothing? Qin Chu obviously didn't believe her. After being together for so long, he could see some subtle changes. Huamin hugged Mr. Qin's head and began to act cute. Honey. I'm actually a little ashamed. I've been busy at the hospital for the past few years and haven't really spent much time with you and the kids. Do you blame me? What are you talking about, silly? When have I ever blamed you? Mr. Qin's tone was very gentle. What if I have less and less time with you guys in the future? Huamin asked tentatively. Why does it sound like a farewell speech? Mr. Qin frowned slightly. Chapter 3988. Of course not. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything else. By the time the couple went to bed, it was already very late. Qin Chu turned off the bedside lamp and realized that Huamin had already turned her face away. With her back to him, under normal circumstances, Huamin wouldn't turn her back to him unless she was angry, in a bad mood, or asleep. He knew that Huamin was in a bad mood. Qin Chu gently hugged Huamin from behind, giving her some warmth. Honey, my belly is big now, and I'm tired of sleeping on one side. So tonight, I'm going to lie here. You won't be mad, right? Huamin's voice was very quiet, and Qin Chu couldn't tell what she was feeling. Emichim, I won't. You can lie down however you feel comfortable. Qin Chu didn't expose his wife, and the two fell into silence. After another 5 minutes, Qin Chu stood behind her and said softly, Mian, I promise you that I'll do everything I can to find Suyu. We'll find him. Emichim. Huamin only responded with a simple Emichim, but she had mixed feelings. So many things had happened between her and Mr. Qin, and they finally had a happy family. She really didn't want any more misunderstandings between them. Last time, when she was kidnapped by Hua Xiqian and taken to a deserted island, Qin Chu almost died. Hua Min had been holding a grudge against him for a long time. If she left without saying anything this time, and most likely didn't come back alive, then what would her husband do? What would her twin daughters do? Hua Min fell into the most difficult and painful moment in her life. She had to save Su Yu. But she didn't want to lose her husband and children. So, she had to take a risk and save Su Yu safely. She had to escape unscathed. But that didn't seem possible. Hua Min went into the tiger's den alone and was already in grave danger. It was a joke to think that he could protect her and Su Yu. After all, she wasn't Lu Yan. She was just an ordinary person without any cheats. But Hua Min still didn't say anything. The next morning, after the couple had breakfast, they went to the company together and brought the children along. Mrs. Qin had promised the twins that they would watch a movie at noon, and she dressed her granddaughters very nicely. Inside, they wore white sweaters with strawberries. Outside, they wore a half-length red cloak, like a little queen. Qin Chu's office was bustling with activity. Assistant Yang made 3 cups of hot milk, and gave 3 to the twins and Hua Min. After drinking the milk, she says, "Hubby, I'm going to the restaurant to take a look. I'll make something for us to eat first, and then we'll eat earlier. After eating, we can go to the movies. I bought tickets to the VIP theater at 12:40 p.m. Okay. Be careful." Since Hua Min didn't leave the building, Qin Chu wasn't that worried. But even when she went to the restaurant, Hua Min was still followed by 2 tall bodyguards. They were with her at all times. Even when she went to the ladies' room, there were female bodyguards with her. It was obvious how careful Qin Chu was to protect her and the kids. After entering the restaurant, Hua Min turned around and said, "I'll go over there and tell them. You can sit here." "Okay, madam." The restaurant was very clear, so the bodyguards didn't think much of it. After sending the bodyguards away, Hua Min walked slowly to the kitchen. "Madam." The chefs in the kitchen were very respectful when they saw Hua Min. "Okay. Please prepare lunch for our family of 4 in advance. We're going out in a while." "Okay, madam." "What do you want to eat?" the head chef asked respectfully. Just then, Hua Min's phone rang. She raised her hand and gestured for them to be quiet. Then, she turned and walked into a small storage room in the kitchen. Those people were really good at picking the time. They knew it was convenient for her to answer the phone. "Hello." Hua Min lowered her voice. Chapter 3989. Hua Min, you must come to us in 3 days. Otherwise, Su Yu will be dead. Zhao Qingya's tone was extremely arrogant. "I want to talk to Su Yu." "What right do you have? How would I know if he's already been killed by you? Anyway, I want you to find a way to let me talk to Su Yu once a day. Otherwise, I won't agree to anything you say." Hua Min's brain worked quickly. He immediately took the initiative and trapped Zhao Qingya. She remembered that Mr. Y had told her that the master wanted Hua Min to go. Zhao Qingya didn't dare to hesitate and only said, "Okay, I'll let you talk now." A minute later, there was a faint panting sound. Hua Min's heart ached when he heard it. "Su Yu, are you okay?" Hua Min asked anxiously. "Mian. Please don't come." Su Yu's body seemed very weak. His voice was weak and feeble. However, it couldn't stop his determination. He was rarely so cowardly. He was afraid that Hua Min would die for him. He didn't care about his own life, but Hua Min couldn't. He couldn't let Hua Min die for him. "Su Yu, don't be afraid. Hang in there. I'll definitely save you. Don't come, please. Hua-min, don't come. Su-yu's voice was choked with sobs. He cried. Yes, he cried helplessly. He didn't want Hua-min to come, but he knew that with Hua-min's temper, he would definitely come. It was because he had seen through everything that he felt even more painful. So, Su-yu cried, what are you talking about? We'll all be fine. Pudding and Little Bean will wait for your safe return and take them to Disneyland in Japan. Alright, I've said what I wanted to say. Now it's time to follow my instructions, right? Alright, tell me the place. I'll be there on time. Do you think we're idiots? If we give you the place directly, you'll bring your men here and wipe us out. Listen, I'll send you the address before tomorrow night. When the time comes, go to the place we told you. Our men will take you away. Remember, don't play any tricks. After repeated warnings, Zhao Qingya hung up. Hua-min's heart was in turmoil again. She was stunned for a minute. Then, she licked her lips and walked out with a pale face. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Just make something, 1 meat and 1 vegetable. The 2 children love to eat fried chicken, but I rarely let them eat it. Today, I'll make it for them. Yes, madam. I will do as you say. On his way back from the restaurant, Hua-min's cell phone rang. It was from Han Yueyao. She had been so busy these days that she even forgot about Han Yueyao's live stream. Yao, what's up? Sister Mian, I advanced again today. The finals are next week and there are only 3 teams left. It doesn't matter if we win the championship or not. I'm satisfied that I've made it this far. Han Yueyao sounded happy. Congratulations. Thank you, Sister Mian. When I get back, I'll treat you and President Su to dinner. By the way, I haven't seen President Su in the company these days. He didn't reply to my WeChat messages. Why can't I reach him? Do you know what happened? Finally, Han Yueyao couldn't help but call Hua-min. Su-yu went on a long trip, Hua-min said. Went on a long trip. But why didn't he tell us? We don't seem to know. Even if he went out, he would have taken his cell phone with him. Sister Mian, what's wrong with President Su? Did our company have a debt dispute recently? Did he run away? Han Yueyao's imagination ran wild. Chapter 3990. No, there's no debt, Hua-min answered calmly. Oh, that's good. I thought President Su was in trouble. Han Yueyao trusted Hua-min, so when she heard that Su-yu was fine, she heaved a sigh of relief. Taking Han Yueyao's call, Hua-min walked into Qin Chu's office. The 2 kids were playing games while Qin Chu was working. Everything looked normal. Mommy, what did you tell the kitchen to make? Little Bean was always interested in food. Just a few. I didn't order anything. I see. I thought I'd have a big meal. Little Bean was obviously disappointed. Hua-min shook his head helplessly. He walked over and picked Little Bean up, placing her on his lap. Grandma said I can't let Mommy carry me. Little Bean obviously cared about this. Little Bean was afraid of hurting her mother and the baby in her belly. It's okay. This doesn't count as carrying. Little Bean, you're still young. You'll have plenty of opportunities to eat in the future. You can't be overweight. Mommy's a doctor and you have to listen to me. Once you're overweight, you'll get sick. Mommy doesn't want you to get sick. Do you understand? Yes, Mommy. Little Bean was very obedient. Hua-min rubbed Little Bean's head lovingly and gently put her down on the ground. Then he glanced at Little Bean. "Come to mommy." Little Bean put down the tablet in her hand and walked over obediently. "Little Bean, you're the older sister, so you take good care of your younger sister. But we don't want you to be biased just because you're older than your younger sister. Mommy, Daddy, and Grandma love you the same. So, you must remember that no matter how smart and mature you are, you'll always be a child in Mommy's eyes." Then Huamin kissed Little Bean's forehead affectionately. Not far away, Chin Chu's typing hand paused for a few seconds. He did not look in their direction, but he heard every word that Huamin and the child said. "Just now." Yes, just now when Huamin said he was going to the restaurant. The system monitoring Huamin's phone showed that it had been disrupted for more than a minute. He couldn't find out who was calling, nor could he trace the location. All he knew was that Huamin had received a mysterious call. From last night until today, Huamin's mood was vaguely abnormal. She tried her best to hide this abnormality. If it was someone else, she might be able to fool them. However, Chin Chu had been with her for so many years, so he naturally understood her temperament. However, Huamin didn't say anything, and Chin Chu didn't ask, because he knew that if it was something that Huamin didn't tell him, it would be very difficult. It must have been very difficult for him to talk about it. He definitely wasn't hiding it on purpose. At the moment, the only thing that could make Huamin so worried was probably Su Yu's matter. Chin Chu guessed that Hua Xichen had kidnapped Su Yu. Was he using Su Yu to threaten Huamian? Half an hour later, the company's cafeteria delivered 4 servings of food. Although Huamin said that 1 meat and 1 vegetable would be enough, the chefs in the kitchen still prepared a sumptuous lunch for the pregnant young lady and the children. Stir-fried okra, stir-fried broccoli with meat, sweet and sour pork ribs, steamed turbot, braised prawns, bitter gourd fried eggs, 3 meat and 3 vegetable dishes. It was very nutritious. They even made a large bowl of Westlake beef soup to replace the soup. It was especially delicious. Perhaps it was the first time that the twins ate in their daddy's office, but they ate even more enthusiastically than usual. Chin Chu and Huamin sat beside the 2 children, constantly wiping their mouths and putting food on their plates. Mr. Chin barely ate as he peeled prawns for his daughter and wife. His hands were covered in grease, but as a clean freak, he didn't mind at all. "Daddy, our company's chef cooks really well. I want to come here more often, okay?" Little Bean asked. Chapter 3991. Okay, no problem. Chin Chu smiled happily, knowing that Little Bean had always been a child who was easily satisfied with food. "Sis, what do you think?" Little Bean glanced at pudding. "It's delicious, but it's not as good as Mommy's and Grandma's." "Wow. Chin Zhao Zhao, you're amazing. You actually learned my skill, flattery, ha ha ha." Little Bean laughed so hard that she spat out rice. Pudding, Chin Chu and Huamin were also amused. It was the first time the family had lunch in the office, and they ate very harmoniously. After lunch, Chin Chu drove the family of 4 to a nearby movie theater. There weren't many seats in the VIP theater. The family of 4 chose a seat in the middle. "Mommy. No." Before Little Bean could finish, Huamin interrupted her. "You don't even know what I'm talking about." "Humph, that's not fair." Little Bean pouted. "I know. You want popcorn and Coke." Huamin certainly knew his daughter. Little Bean nodded vigorously and continued to flatter, "Mommy, let's just buy a small bucket of popcorn for the 4 of us, okay?" Seeing that Huamin didn't say anything, Little Bean looked at Chin Chu again. "Daddy, please, it's no use begging me. Your mommy has the final say." "Sis, do you want some too?" Little Bean placed her hopes on pudding. I really can't eat anymore. I'm already full. Pudding mercilessly rejected her. In the end, Huamin couldn't bear it and asked Chin Chu to go out and buy a bucket of popcorn for Little Bean. But Coke refused. She was so young and didn't have enough calcium. How could he let her lose calcium too quickly? Dream-Seeking Ring was a story about the relationship between one's loved ones. The family of four watched the original English soundtrack, but it was more immersive. In the end, the mother and daughters cried until their eyes were red. When he walked out of the theater, he found it hard to calm down. Death can't separate us. Forgetting is. Huamin muttered his understanding of the movie. When Chin Chu heard this, he felt very uncomfortable. He put his arm around Huamin's shoulder and comforted him gently. There is no death, no separation, and no forgetting. I will always be by your side. Huamin didn't say anything, but he didn't feel good. After watching the movie, it was already 2:00 in the afternoon. Looking at the two children, she felt slightly sleepy. Huamin discussed with Chin Chu, "Hubby, I want to go to my mother's place to take a look. I can also bring the children there." Then Chin Chu hesitated. Huamin knew that Chin Chu was talking about Uncle Jing, who had come back from the dead and acted strangely. Ever since Uncle Jing came back, Huamin rarely went back and never brought the children back. He was afraid that it was a ticking time bomb that could explode at any moment. "It's okay. We'll leave after seeing Mom. I won't stay long. Also, I'll have the bodyguards follow us." "Okay, be careful." "Okay." Huamin took the children and was escorted to Sky Blessing Court by the bodyguards. When Chin Chu returned to his office, he called Gao Ran. "Find the address of this signal source for me." Chin Chu sent Gao Ran a string of garbled code. "What's this?" "A mysterious phone call. It was carefully processed by hackers. It can't be eavesdropped or tracked. I can only find this bunch of signal sources. I tried to decode it, but I couldn't. The structure is a bit complicated. Hacking skills. You should ask your wife. Your wife is better than the hackers in our city bureau." Gao Ran laughed. "I'm asking you because I can't let Mian know about this." Chin Chu's voice was still calm. Chapter 3992. What the hell are you two doing? Are you kidding me? Gao Ran didn't quite understand. Chin Chu loved his wife so much that he rarely hid things from her. "But why? I'll tell you the details later. You can check it out first." "Okay." After hanging up, Chin Chu was still worried. After Suyu disappeared, the atmosphere seemed to have changed. Huamin became a little distracted. Chin Chu never doubted that Huamin had any personal feelings for him. However, he knew that Huamin was greatly indebted to the Su family. Suyu had done everything he could for Huamin in the past few years. Huamin was a person who didn't say it out loud, but he was very grateful. If Suyu's life was really in danger because of her, it would be a shackle for her for the rest of her life. What she needed to figure out now was who called Huamin. On the other side, Huamin brought the two children back to Sky Blessing Court. Yang Meirong hadn't seen the twins for a long time. She was very happy to see Huamin bring the children back. She introduced them to Jingde. Jingde was also confused when he saw the children. "Pudding, Little Bean, hurry up and call him Grandpa." "This isn't my grandpa. I have a grandpa who's a great scientist." Little Bean was straightforward and directly exposed her grandpa. "Little Bean, what nonsense are you talking about?" Huamin quickly walked over and grabbed Little Bean's shoulders. "This child, what are you talking about? What scientist, Grandpa? Yang Meirong was also confused. Huamin quickly tried to smooth things over and said with a smile, Mom, Little Bean is talking about the people in the movies. Last year, there was a Marvel movie called Doctor Strange, right? Little Bean likes that Grandpa very much, so she always calls him Grandpa Scientist because he has special powers and can cast spells. No, Little Bean was about to continue when Pudding covered her mouth and pulled her away. Sister, come, have a piece of chocolate. Pudding picked up a piece of chocolate from the fruit tray in the living room and stuffed it into Little Bean's mouth. Only then did she stop her little mouth. You haven't met them yet, have you? I was going to take you to South Hill Manor to see my 2 granddaughters after you got used to it. They're my precious babies. Pudding and Little Bean are twins. Our daughter, Mian, gave birth to them 4 years ago. They're really cute. Yang Meirong really loved her granddaughter, so she couldn't wait to introduce her to Jingde. Huamin paid special attention to Jingde's subtle expression and found that Jingde seemed to have no feelings for the 2 children. However, she pretended to be very affectionate. Is that so? He's already so big. The child is so cute, just like his mother. We're prettier than Mommy, Little Bean protested. Stop talking and eat your chocolate. Pudding quickly covered her sister's mouth. My Little Bean, you're so sharp-tongued. You're amazing. Yang Meirong didn't mind and laughed. Jingde's smile was a bit forced and even guilty. Mom, come with me. I have some family matters to discuss with you. Did you have a fight with Chu? No. Come with me. Huamin pulled his mother upstairs, leaving Jingde and the 2 children in the living room. Little Bean ate happily. She turned on the TV and watched Animal World. She was very engrossed in watching poisonous snakes. Pudding played with her cell phone. Jingde didn't seem to know what to do. He just sat on the sofa, his eyes dull. Pudding glanced at the man and said, Grandpa, didn't you die in a car accident? How come you're alive? Pudding had seen Jingde's picture in Sky Blessing Court before, and she knew that the picture was of Jingde's deceased master. However, it seemed that he was still alive. Chapter 3993. Jingde was surprised that such a young child would ask such a difficult question. His body stiffened. To be honest, he was afraid that someone would ask him about Jingde. Even though he wanted to be Jingde now. It's a complicated process. You're a child and won't understand. Jingde was about to brush Pudding off with this, but to his surprise, Little Bean, who was watching TV, interrupted, Don't treat my sister as a child. She's a prodigy in the stock market. She has over 100 million yuan in her bank account, which is more than an ordinary person can earn in a lifetime. She's very smart, and so am I, Grandpa. Don't listen to my sister. I'm just curious. It's okay if you don't want to tell me. Pudding was good at hiding a dagger in her smile. When she smiled, her eyes seemed to be able to see through people. Jingde felt guilty again. In fact, it's a bit dangerous, Jingde told the 2 kids what he had told the others. Of course, he made it simple. Meanwhile, Huamin was in the room upstairs with his mother. What's the matter? Mian, don't be so secretive. Don't hide it from your Uncle Jing. He's not an outsider. It was obvious that her mother trusted Uncle Jing. She felt like she had returned to the old days of surprise and excitement. Sure enough, old people were easy to fool. Mom, let's not talk about Uncle Jing today. I have something for you. Huamin took out a craft envelope and handed it to her mother. What's this? Open it and see. Huamin said with a smile. Yang Meirong opened the envelope and saw a bank card and a jade bracelet inside. You're giving me money again. I don't need it. Her mother was angry. Her daughter had been so good to her that she couldn't be a mother who only cared about money. Of course, Jixin and Bella are very filial, but as your daughter, I have to be filial to you as well. I asked someone to pick out the bracelet, and I wanted to give it to you on your birthday this year, but I can't wait any longer, so I gave it to you in advance. Ha, don't think I'm too impatient. You're buying such expensive things again. It must be very expensive, right? Looking at the quality of the white jade, Yang Meirong knew that it was expensive. Even though she didn't know much about antiques, Yang Meirong knew that her daughter wouldn't buy cheap ones. It's not expensive at all. I saw it and think it suits you very well. As he spoke, Huamin hugged his mother's shoulders and began to act like a spoiled child. Mom, let me put it on for you. Huamin took the jade bracelet and put it on his mother's wrist. He felt a little comforted in his heart. Pretty, right? Pretty, but expensive. Don't buy it in the future. Yang Meirong's nagging came back again. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything. After acting like a spoiled child with his mother for a while, Huamin left Sky Blessing Court with the two kids. On the way, in the RV, Huamin looked at Pudding and asked, Pudding, do you like this grandpa? No. Why not? Because I think he's weird, but I can't tell exactly why. I like the grandpa in the States more, said Pudding. Me too, me too. I miss grandpa so much. I miss Auntie. Mommy too. Speaking of grandpa, they thought of Auntie. Their hearts almost flew out of their bodies. I miss your auntie and grandpa too. Huamin's voice was very calm. Then can we give them a call? Strike while the iron is hot, right now. Little Bean bared her teeth and suggested. If it were in the past, Huamin wouldn't agree. But now, she didn't have much time left. Chapter 3994. Okay. Let's make a call now. Huamin no longer worried about his father's work and Lu Yan's influence. Picking up his cell phone, Huamin was a bit excited. He called his father first. The phone rang twice before it was hung up. Disappointed, Huamin put down his cell phone, thinking that his father was probably busy in the lab. Mommy, what's wrong? Is Grandpa not answering the phone? Little Bean looked up and asked innocently. Grandpa is probably busy. The moment Huamin said this, his cell phone rang. Looking at the string of garbled numbers, Huamin picked up the phone excitedly. Hello. Mian. Hearing Professor Lu's old voice calling her name, Huamin was excited again. Daddy. She choked. Mommy, calm down. Talk to Grandpa. She put her little hand on her mother's knee and comforted her. Mian, you rarely call me. Did something happen? No matter how far away he was from his daughter, he missed her dearly. No. Daddy. I just haven't talked to you in a long time. I miss you. Did I disturb you? No. It's just a phone call. It's not that serious. Professor Lu wouldn't tell his daughter that calling her would expose his whereabouts. To him, talking to his daughter was more important than anything else. Daddy, how have you been? Good, Professor Lu said. How are you? Very good. There's nothing wrong with you. I'm a doctor. Don't forget. Professor Lu's voice had a hint of a smile. Daddy, you must take care of yourself. The weather in the U.S. is unpredictable. You need to wear more clothes. Daddy, what do you like to eat from your hometown? I'll send it to you. It's okay. I'll eat it when I'm free. Okay, okay. By the way, Daddy, can you talk to the twins? They miss you very much. Huamin was so excited that he almost forgot that the twins also wanted to talk to their grandpa. Of course. At the mention of his two grandsons, Professor Lu's heart warmed. Sis, you go first. Little Bean actually knew how to be humble. Later, Huamin realized that Little Bean wasn't insensible. She knew how to be humble when it came to important matters. She wouldn't bully her sister just because she was young. Pudding was a little shy. She took the phone and called out sweetly, Grandpa. Pudding. Grandpa, how do you know I'm not Little Bean? Your voices are very recognizable. I haven't gone senile yet. Professor Lu laughed. Grandpa, I miss you so much. You have to take care of yourself. Okay, Grandpa will listen to you. Pudding has made a lot of money in the stock market recently. Grandpa, you've been paying attention to the domestic stock market. Pudding was a little excited. Well, keep an eye on Wanhong Technology. There will be a surprise. I heard that Wanhong Technology's chairman ran away on suspicion of fraud. Could it be that they're going to reorganize? Pudding mumbled to herself. Professor Lu smiled and didn't say anything. Seeing that it was almost time, Huamin whispered, Pudding, say something to your sister. Pudding reluctantly took off the phone and handed it to Little Bean. Grandpa, I miss you so much. Little Bean's voice was loud and clear. Maybe it was because she was fat, but she was full of confidence. Huamin laughed out loud. Oh my, this small movement is so bright. Little Bean, have you been doing any experiments recently? No, Mommy doesn't let me touch chemicals. She says they're poisonous or will explode. Little Bean pouted and complained. Your mommy is too careful. When your auntie was your age, she could already make more than 10 kinds of simple explosives. Professor Lu laughed. Chapter 3995. Really? Grandpa, tell me about Auntie's childhood. Little Bean was excited to hear her grandpa talk about her auntie's childhood. But Huamin couldn't wait any longer and reminded her, Little Bean, it's about time. Say goodbye to Grandpa. Ha! So soon. But I haven't said enough. She was a kid after all and didn't care about the safety of adults. Huamin's eyes turned serious. Little Bean immediately said into the phone, Goodbye, Grandpa. Take care of yourself. Then she returned the phone to her mother. Huamin picked up the phone and said goodbye to his father. Dad, you and Yen must be well. Take care of yourself. Kiddo, are you okay? Are you in trouble? No, I just miss you. Okay, I won't take up any more of your time. Goodbye, Dad. Okay. Goodbye. Just like that, Huamian hung up the phone, feeling a sense of loss. She didn't dare to tell her father too much. Her father was so smart that he might sense something. Mommy, Auntie is so awesome. Grandpa said that when she was my age, she could already make simple explosives. Little Bean's eyes were full of admiration. Auntie was forced to do that. We can't learn from her. Huamin didn't think his sister was that awesome. He just felt sorry for her. Other 3-year-old children would be spoiled in their parents' arms, watching cartoons, playing with toys, Barbie dolls, and princess dresses. Lu Yan, on the other hand, had to learn how to protect herself from being hunted down again and again. Huamin didn't want Lu Yan to live such a life. Even though she was the queen of the mercenary world, a mythical figure that even the Interpol and the FBI couldn't catch. But Huamin only wanted her to be an ordinary girl, his most ordinary sister, Lu Yan. He didn't want her to be rich or powerful. He just wanted her to be safe. Mommy, should I call Auntie again? Forget it. Huamin thought Lu Yan was a master hacker. If he called her, she might notice something. If those people detected his connection with Lu Yan, Siyu would be in danger. Zhao Qingya had always emphasized that she couldn't tell anyone. Judging from her confident tone, she must have some way to keep an eye on him. Dad should be fine. After all, he was protected by a group of special people. No matter how powerful Zhao Qingya was, she wouldn't be able to kill Dad, right? For a moment, Huamin's mind was in a mess. The two children did not notice that something was wrong with their mother. With Grandpa's reminder, Pudding immediately turned on her phone and started manipulating the stocks. To observe the direction of Wanhong technology, Little Bean picked up her phone and started playing a game. GK headquarters. While Qin Chu was in the meeting room, his phone rang. After looking down at the number, Qin Chu stood up. Sorry, the meeting is over. Then, Qin Chu walked out of the conference room and picked up the phone. Chu. Dad. It was rare for Huamin's father, Professor Liu, to call Qin Chu in person. When Professor Liu called, the number was similar to the one Lu Yan used every time. Qin Chu glanced at it and guessed it. Son, have you and Mian encountered any problems recently? Professor Liu asked directly. Why do you say that, Dad? Mian called me today. I thought it was strange. She rarely calls me. I guess she had something on her mind, but she didn't say anything in the end. After 5 seconds of silence, Qin Chu said slowly, Dad, we did encounter a problem. Someone hacked into Mian's phone and talked to her secretly. I can't crack it. I've asked a top hacker from the Municipal Public Security Bureau, but they couldn't crack it. The other party is a player, a top hacker. Do you have the code? Send it to me, the professor said seriously. Chapter 3996. Yes, I'll send it to you right away. With the professor's permission, Qin Chu immediately sent the code to Professor Liu's convenient number for him to receive messages. In 3 minutes, Professor Liu cracked the code that even the hackers of the Municipal Public Security Bureau and a master like Qin Chu couldn't solve. Then, Professor Liu sent the decrypted recordings to Qin Chu. There were 2 conversations in total. After hearing the conversation, Qin Chu's expression turned grim. Sure enough, it had something to do with Suyu. But that Zhao Qingya, if Professor Liu hadn't mentioned her, Qin Chu wouldn't have remembered her. Qin Chu never paid attention to the entertainment industry or any female celebrities, so he wasn't familiar with Zhao Qingya. After listening to the recording, he immediately sent a WeChat message to Gao Ran and asked for all the information about Zhao Qingya. Then, Professor Liu called him again. Dad, Qin Chu said respectfully. Chu, did you listen to the recording? Yes. Suyu was kidnapped. Yes. Those people threatened Mian. Obviously, kidnapping Suyu was just a bait. Their target is Mian. Yes. Qin Chu completely agreed with the professor. Those people didn't kidnap Mian to extort money. Otherwise, they could have asked Suyu's family for it. So, I think they kidnapped Mian because of me or Yen. Dad, we can't make a conclusion yet. It's just a guess. No. I'm almost certain that their purpose is not pure. The person who wrote this code is very powerful. That group isn't simple. They're not ordinary kidnappers. Yes. Now that we know the truth, can you think of a way to stop Mian from going? This trip will be very dangerous. Dad, can't stop her. Chin Chu's tone was calm. Do you have the heart to let her be a suspect? She's about to give birth. The professor seemed a little angry. It's not that I don't want to, but Su Yu and I are indebted to the Su family, and Su Yu is very important to Mian. Anyways, if something happens to Su Yu because of me, she'll never forgive me. Chin Chu knew Huamin too well, so he didn't dare to stop her. I can ask Yen to save Su Yu. I can use this set of codes to locate those people. Also, we can find someone to disguise as Mian. It's too risky. As you said, these people are very powerful. If they can find a top-level hacker to stop me from checking Mian's call records, I don't think I can fool them with a few words. You probably don't know that Mian's stepfather, Jingde, who died in a car accident many years ago, has come back from the dead. What? Hearing that Jingde came back alive, the professor was shocked. He was familiar with Jingde. When his daughter was swapped, he had a lot to do with Dr. Lan in Dongtao Town. Later, he raised Huamin for many years and was the husband of Mian's adoptive mother, so the professor didn't do anything to him. Later, Jingde died in a car accident because of a scheme. That was the truth. Now, he came back from the dead. Even if others believed it, the professor wouldn't believe it. As a scientist and a medical genius, he knew the human body too well. Resurrection from the dead. That was nonsense. The current medical science, and even in the next few decades, would not be able to reach that level. It was an impossible topic. Jingde came back from the dead, Chin Chu repeated. Did you check it? Didn't he use a disguise or plastic surgery? The professor was incredulous. Dad, Mian took his hair and did a DNA test. After comparison, he's Xixin, Mian's younger brother. There's no doubt that he's father. Pa. The professor's phone slipped from his hand. He was shocked. He could only carefully put the pistol on the ground. After all, as long as he was not careful, he might be shot into a beehive. Su Yu. I've heard a lot about you. The person who walked out from behind the dozen people was Mr. Y. His hairstyle was very strange. He had a braid on his head. He was unshaven and slovenly. He looked like an artist. He was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. You are. Su had never seen Mr. Y before, so he was a little confused. Emichim, I actually want to thank you. It was because of your actions that I had the chance to get Xiaoya. Su finally understood that the Xiaoya he was talking about was Xiao Qingya. Was she the crazy fan that bailed her out of the country? Chapter 3998. Oh, you're that bitch Xiao Qingya's sugar daddy, Su smiled contemptuously. As soon as he finished speaking, he was punched in the stomach by one of his men who was closest to him. Su bent down slightly in pain, but he didn't kneel down. He was holding on. Don't be so quick with your words. You're the one who'll suffer. Mr. Y smiled. You captured me to avenge her. If you're a man, hurry up. I'm in a hurry to be reincarnated. Su Yu's temper was on full display. He wanted to anger these people as soon as possible. If they killed him, Mian might not come back. Otherwise, both he and Mian might die. That wasn't what Su wanted. Again, he could die, anyone could die, but Mian couldn't die. This obsession was deeply rooted in his heart and couldn't be replaced. I know you're not afraid of death. Su Yu, your weakness is too obvious. What you're afraid of is Huamin's death. If you dare to touch her, I won't let you go. You know my background, right? My grandfather's entire army will bomb you to ashes. Do you think I'll be afraid of you if you tell me all this? I knew who you were when I captured you. The Sioux family, a military family. Pfft. You're only a little powerful in China, but overseas. Do you think anyone will be afraid of you? You're just a mob. Mr. Y's tone was frivolous, completely disregarding Su Yu's background. Su Yu suddenly felt that things weren't that simple. Zhao Qingya probably didn't just set this up because she hated him and Huamin. He felt like there was a story behind this that he didn't know. Even if you're not afraid of the Su family, do you know who Huamin is? Su Yu asked tentatively. Mr. Y's smile deepened. Are you testing me? Su Yu didn't say anything, he just stared at this strange pervert. Mr. Y smiled, picked up a Cuban cigar, lit it, and continued, there's no harm in telling you. Catching you wasn't our ultimate goal. When Su Yu heard this, it seemed that his guess was right. As for why we captured Huamin, of course I know who she is. I know better than anyone else. You don't have to worry about that. Actually, you should be grateful to us, because we allowed you to see Huamin one last time before you die. Isn't this fulfilling your wish? It's time for you to pay for what you did to Xiaoya. After that, Mr. Y raised his hand and fired 2 shots at Su Yu's shoulder. They all hit his collarbone. The pain caused him to subconsciously lean back and fall to the ground, drag him in and watch him carefully. If anything happens again, I'll kill all of you as well, Mr. Y ordered. Yes, boss. Boss, should we call the doctor to take out the bullet? One of the confused subordinates asked. Mr. Y's face darkened. It's fine. It's not a fatal wound anyway. He won't die so quickly. It's good to let him suffer a little. Su Yu's escape plan failed, and he was shot twice in his collarbone. Every time he moved, his entire body would hurt. This time, no doctor came to remove the bullet. He knew that those people's ultimate goal was to use him as bait. They would lure Huamin here so that he could die. Mian, don't come. I'd rather not see you one last time before I die. I hope that you never come. Su Yu lay in the cabin in despair, squandering the little time he had left. Chapter 3999. To Huamin's surprise, she didn't receive a call from Zhao Qingya. Instead, she received a short video. In the video, Su Yu was shot twice in the collarbone area, but the shooter couldn't be seen. Zhao Qingya's voice was added to the video. Huamin, you bitch, you're such a liar. How dare you investigate us to the States? Haha, this is a lesson for you. Remember, you're the only one here. If you continue to play with us, you'll have to collect Su Yu's body. Huamin's heart almost stopped the moment she saw Su Yu fall to the ground. She calmed down and tried to analyze Zhao Qingya's words. She didn't investigate Zhao Qingya or the States. Could it be? Huamin didn't say anything, but she had a lot on her mind the entire night. She couldn't stay calm after seeing Su Yu get shot in the video. She wanted to find him right now and save him. Huamin had lost her usual calmness and rationality. As expected, once a person crossed a line, they wouldn't be fearless in the face of danger. After all, everyone only had one life. If Su Yu died, it would be too late. After the twins went home, they showered and went to bed early. They were a bit tired after playing all day. Huamin sat in the bedroom, waiting for Qin Chu to come back. Qin Chu came back at almost 7. As soon as he entered the bedroom, Huamin stood up. Honey, are the kids asleep? Yeah, they're tired. Are you tired? If you're tired, you should go to bed. Chin Chu seemed to be the same as usual. Honey, I need to talk to you. Okay. Chin Chu took off his jacket and hung it on the hanger. Then, he turned around and loosened the tie on his shirt. What's the matter? Why are you so serious? Chin Chu walked over, cupped Hua Min's face, and kissed it. Honey, are you hiding something from me? Hua Min asked him. What do you mean? Chin Chu's eyes seemed to flash. After a few seconds of silence, Hua Min looked up into his eyes. Honey, you listened to my call log, didn't you? You investigated their information, didn't you? At this point, other than Chin Chu, Hua Min couldn't think of anyone else who could investigate to the States so quickly. Hearing Hua Min bring it up, Chin Chu sighed. You're finally willing to tell me now. Honey, I didn't mean to keep it a secret from you. Hua Min's was Hua, Chin Chu, I know it's not your fault. I've listened to the call log. Zhao Qingya threatened you. You had no choice. You cracked it so quickly. Hua Min knew the call record had been tampered with. She wanted to see if she could crack it. Although Chin Chu's hacking skills weren't bad, she was still shocked that he cracked it so quickly. Chin Chu pointed at himself and looked into her eyes calmly. I should thank Dad for this. Dad? Hua Min froze. You called Dad, right? Yes. Hua Min nodded. Dad sensed something was wrong with you, so he contacted me. I was worried that I couldn't crack the call, but Dad cracked it. I see. Dad, you're amazing. Hua Min finally understood. So, don't hide it from me anymore. Mian. I know how important Su Yu is to you. I don't want him to die. We owe the Su family a lot, and I, Chin Chu, am not an ungrateful person. But, please, don't shoulder it all by yourself. Let's work together to save Su Yu, okay? Chin Chu didn't blame Hua Min for hiding the truth from him. Instead, he comforted her gently, or rather, he felt sorry for his wife. Hearing this, Hua Min burst into tears. Scared, Chin Chu immediately went over and hugged Hua Min tightly. Chapter 4000. Honey, it's not that I don't want to tell you. I didn't mean to hide it from you. I'm just scared. I'm scared that Su Yu will die. I'm scared that those people will go crazy and kill Su Yu. If that happens, it'll be too late. It'll be too late for regrets. It was rare for Hua Min to lose control like this. She was sobbing as she spoke. Chin Chu's heart ached for her and he kept comforting her. He took out a tissue from the bedside and carefully wiped her tears. Even though Chin Chu had known Hua Min for more than 10 years, he rarely saw her lose control like this. No, Su Yu will be fine. But those people found out that we investigated them. That's why they punished Su Yu. Hua Min cried even harder. She took out her cell phone with trembling hands and played the video. She didn't dare to watch it anymore, especially when she saw Su Yu's body leaning backward after he was shot. His pale face made her heart ache. Chin Chu took out his cell phone and watched the video. His brows furrowed. He finally understood why Mian was willing to talk about it. It seemed he was wrong. He thought a secret investigation would be enough. But even a cautious person like Rick found out about Mr. Y's investigation. What did that mean? Their enemies were powerful and had a lot of information. They could know what they were doing at any moment. Mian, I was wrong. I shouldn't have. Chin Chu felt guilty. Maybe if he hadn't been so reckless, Su Yu wouldn't have been tortured. Although he wasn't shot in a vital part, Su Yu wouldn't be able to hold on much longer if those people continued to torture him. It's not your fault. Those people are too hateful. Huamin wanted to kill Zhao Qingya right now. But there was nothing she could do now. Don't cry. Don't scare the baby. With Qin Chu's reminder, Huamin finally noticed that there was a strong fetal movement in her stomach. The baby was already 7 to 8 months old. Huamin's intense emotions caused the baby in her womb to become agitated as well. Only then did Huamin stop crying. She picked up a tissue to wipe her tears and touched her stomach as she apologized. Yu Yao, are you scared by mother? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. She gently lowered her head and comforted the baby for a while. Only then did the baby calm down and stop moving. Qin Chu looked at Huamin's swollen feet. He quietly carried her to bed, and then went to the bathroom to get hot water for her to soak her feet. Seeing Qin Chu doing these things for him without any complaints, Huamin was especially moved. Hubby. Do my feet look like little pig trotters? Huamin asked mischievously. No, they don't. Then, Mr. Qin continued, pig trotters aren't this fat. Huamin smiled through her tears. Although Mr. Qin's sense of humor was cold and meant to mock her, it always made her feel warmer. Hubby, when my baby is born, will you still wash my feet? No. So you're doing it for your son. Huamin pretended to be angry. When you give birth, I can't wait to bathe you. Huamin's face turned red upon hearing this. Was Mr. Qin saying something dirty? Then, Mr. Qin complained, this kid took up almost 10 months of my time. I'm dying of boredom. When he's born, you'll have to make it up to me slowly. You'll have to bathe with me. Okay, I'll apply body wash for you. Just thinking about the erotic scene made him want to vomit blood. Huamin mumbled shyly, who wants you to apply body wash for me? I don't have hands. Chapter 4001. Your hands aren't free. Don't you have other things to do? Upon hearing this, Huamin's face turned even redder. Honey, you're so perverted. Huamin cupped her burning face with both hands. What are you thinking? Aren't your hands supposed to rub my back? So you're talking about back rub. Huamin was dumbfounded. What else do you want? Qin Chu smirked. Okay, you're playing with me again. Do you think my brain is damaged because I'm pregnant? Honey, are you too arrogant? Do you think your wife can't hold a dragon-slaying knife? Huamin remembered a joke on Weibo and used it. Forget about the dragon-slaying knife. You can't bear to do it to me. The couple chatted lovingly until Qin Chu finished washing Huamin's feet. Huamin leaned on Qin Chu's shoulder. The two of them didn't speak for a long time. Honey. Yeah. Do you understand what Zhao Qingya means? I understand. She wants you to save Suyu alone. Otherwise, she'll kill him. Then Huamin was very scared. She was afraid that Qin Chu wouldn't bear to let her go. After all, she was pregnant. Everyone knew how dangerous it was to go alone. I'll think of a way to ensure your safety. Those people are very smart. Disguises won't work. I have to go personally, Huamin said. Yes. Their goal isn't as simple as Suyu. Suyu might just be bait. The mastermind might want you. As for capturing you, it might have something to do with Dad or Yen. Of course, these are just my guesses. If that's the case, then Suyu is in even more danger. Huamin's eyes darkened. Mian. Yeah. I won't stop you from saving Suyu. After hearing this, Huamin was slightly moved. But you also have to promise me that you will listen to my arrangements and not run around on your own. I will design a reasonable plan to ensure your safety and Su Yu's safety at the same time. And, hubby, I promise you, I will try my best to come back alive. Huamin was very touched by Qin Chu's words. At this sensitive moment, he didn't stop Huamin because he was afraid of death or Huamin's death. Instead, he fulfilled Huamin's wish. Of course, it was because he knew Huamin too well that he knew Huamin had to go this time. Honey, are we looking for Yin? But, those people seem to be very powerful. Their top hackers are very powerful. Dad just cracked the code and they seem to be able to track my phone and even yours. What if we ask Yen or Dad for help and their whereabouts are exposed? Wouldn't that be even more troublesome? Let me think about this. Too many things had happened at once and there was too much information. Besides, if he failed to make a decision, Su Yu would lose his life. Therefore, he didn't dare to jump to conclusions. He only hoped that Huamin would go on this adventure under his control. At the border of Yunnan, a black off-road vehicle was shuttling through the dense jungle. The woman with the golden mask glanced at the man beside her. You're so obedient. Hee, I told you not to let Hua Xiqin out. He'll make you unhappy. You two have the same body, so sleeping with you is the same as sleeping with him. It's the same feeling, right? The woman with the golden mask laughed lasciviously. Jack had a ferocious smile on his face. The car drove for about 30 miles and finally stopped in front of a bamboo building. Mr. Y and Zhao Qinya had been waiting for a long time. The woman with the golden mask got out of the car with Jack's help. Everyone knelt on one knee and put their right hands in front of their chests. Welcome, Your Highness. Mr. Y and Zhao Qinya looked like dogs wagging their tails and begging for mercy. Chapter 4002. Facing the people kneeling on the ground, the golden-masked woman didn't show any expression. She only glanced at Mr. Y. Where is he? He's inside. I heard, you tortured him. The golden-masked woman lowered her head and turned the ring with a skull on her finger. Her tone was subtle. Mr. Y was too scared to speak, and Zhao Qinya was trembling. Your Highness, it's like this. Su Yu is my enemy, so Zhao Qinya seemed to want to explain, but the masked woman's eyes were sharp. Did I ask you a question? Instantly, the whole room fell silent. Jack watched the show with a smirk. During the days he spent with the woman, he learned one thing. The masked lady was a very fickle person. Staying with her was like staying with a tiger. Being with a queen was like being with a queen. No, she was even scarier than an emperor. After all, an emperor wouldn't kill people for no reason, but she would. Jack used to think that the main personality in his body, Hua Xiqin, was a psycho. He was even more psycho. But after seeing the masked woman, he realized that there was always someone better than him. In front of this woman, Ian and Nalo were considered normal. The masked woman's people had been active in China recently. This was also the reason why Ian had been quiet for so long. Ian and Nalo seemed to be afraid of someone. Even the urgent task of rescuing Hua Xiqin was put on hold. Somehow, Hua Xiqin and Jack realized one thing. Firstly, the masked woman's background was unknown. She was very mysterious and terrifying. Second, this woman was so young that she couldn't have such a powerful force that even Lu Yan's people couldn't infiltrate. So, there must be a bigger boss behind her. However, she never showed up, and neither did Hua Xiqin or Jack. Your Highness, I was wrong. I'm sorry, it was his first time meeting Zhao Qinya. She had been Mr. Y's exclusive property for the past few years, drinking with him. However, he had heard the name, Your Highness, from Mr. Y's mouth more than once. This woman's identity was enough to make Mr. Y bow down to her. Zhao Qingya did not dare to offend him. After all, she had unintentionally scolded a young Russian model that Mr. Y had just slept with. They were beaten half to death by Mr. Y and had their noses broken. Later on, they learned their lesson. No matter what Mr. Y said, she didn't dare to disobey. After all, he didn't like her. He was just toying with her and controlling her. Therefore, Zhao Qingya hadn't been living a comfortable life in the past few years. Even when she was abroad, she was abused and lived like a dog without dignity. Therefore, when she saw Su Yu, she exploded in anger. She couldn't wait to kill Su Yu to vent the hatred in her heart. But in fact, Su Yu had never done any direct harm to her. It was all her own fault that she was in this situation today. However, Zhao Qingya and Hui Yanyan were the same kind of people. They would never admit that it was their fault. They would only think that this depressing experience was caused by someone else. Hua Mian had discussed this with Jiang Xiaowei before. If a woman's mouth was full of venom, she complained about everything, and everything she saw was bad, then it meant that she wasn't living a good life and was depressed. Zhao Qingya was indeed such a person. The masked woman ignored Zhao Qingya's begging. She glanced at Jack and said mildly, "Take out the things I want. Take out the things I prepared. I'm going to play with Su Yu." Chapter 4003. Jack nodded obediently and went back to the trunk of the off-road vehicle to take out a black plastic bag. Then, the two of them walked in. After the masked girl walked in, the group behind her dared to stand up. "That person looks like Hua Xiqian," Zhao Qingya said in a low voice. When she was in China, she had met Hua Xiqian many times, so she had always wanted to ask why Hua Xiqian was with that woman. However, as soon as she said that, Mr. Y slapped her hard in the face. Zhao Qingya saw stars from the beating. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. "Shut up and don't talk in front of His Highness, or I'll skin you alive." Zhao Qingya covered her face and didn't dare to say a word. Mr. Y had always been a violent maniac. Especially after he started taking drugs, he became even more violent, so Zhao Qingya was very afraid of him. Now that she saw how afraid he was of that woman, Zhao Qingya didn't dare to say a word. After all, she knew what these people were capable of. This masked girl was crueler than the ferocious Y. She was definitely not a good person. This time, the masked girl came with a low profile and only brought Jack with her. It was obvious that she was very confident in herself and wasn't afraid of anyone rebelling. After the masked girl changed her clothes, she walked out and stood in front of Jack. It was a very casual hoodie, jeans, and white sneakers. It was a very casual outfit, and her hair was tied up in a simple ponytail. Then, in front of Jack, the girl slowly took off her mask. Jack's eyes became deep. It was an indescribable emotion, and he fell into a deep trance. "Do I look like him?" The moment the girl spoke, Jack was about to go crazy. Very. He tried to suppress his emotions. "Ha, wait for me outside. I'll go see him." "Okay." Then, the masked girl walked into the small wooden house where Su Yu was locked up. Jack guarded the door and was on guard against everything outside. After Su Yu was shot, his wound began to fester because he didn't treat it in time. Also, he had a high fever because of the infection. He didn't even touch the food and water that was brought in. It was as if he didn't want to live anymore. He wanted to give up. He even wanted to say that if he died just like that, Hua Min wouldn't have to take the risk. In short, Su Yu was curled up in the corner of the cabin with his eyes closed. His face was extremely haggard. The young master of the Su family, the young master of a wealthy family, was now just an ordinary person on the verge of death. Suyu. Suyu. After hearing the familiar voice, Suyuk slowly opened his eyes. When he saw the woman in front of him, his eyes lit up. Am I going to die? Am I experiencing terminal lucidity? It's good to see you. Suyu's voice was very weak. He reluctantly raised his hand, ignoring the pain of the bullet on his collarbone, and reached out to touch the delicate face of the woman in front of him. Mion. I'm dying. I might not be able to protect you anymore, Suyu, don't die. Look at me, I'm here to save you, thank you for coming to my dream. It's good to see you one last time, even if it's a dream. Suyu was a little dizzy from his fever and thought he was dreaming. But, the woman picked up a bowl of water and placed it by Suyu's lips. Drink some water first. Suyu subconsciously took a big gulp. Then, he gradually woke up. He rubbed his eyes and looked carefully again. The person in front of him was indeed Huamin. Mion. Suyu was shocked this time. He now understood that this wasn't a dream. It was real. The woman smiled but didn't say anything. When Suyu looked down, he was even more surprised. Mion, where's your child? Huamin was supposed to be a pregnant woman with a big belly who was about to give birth. However, the woman in front of him had a flat belly, just like Huamin when she was a young girl a few years ago. Yes, it wasn't a perfect likeness. It wasn't a low-end imitation like Zhang Manlin's. This was the real deal. Chapter 4004. The children are gone. Suyu, listen to me. If I tell you that I want to be with you and divorce Qin Chu, will you want me? The woman's face was unprecedentedly sincere. Her eyes were also clear. It couldn't be faked. Suyu was still suspicious. He thought that Zhao Qingya and the others might have found a woman to disguise herself as Huamin. So, he reached out and touched her face. It was indeed skin. There was no human skin mask, no excuse, and no signs of plastic surgery on her nose and lips. Suyu had been in the entertainment company for many years and was very sensitive to such things. Some women had slimming injections, nose injections, or forehead fillings. He could tell at a glance. However, the woman in front of him was indeed Huamian. Her eyes were the same, her voice was the same, everything was the same. Suyu, answer me first. Suyu hesitated for a moment. Wasn't this what he wanted? But now that it was his turn to answer, he couldn't. Did you forget about me a long time ago? Don't you love me anymore? Or do you dislike me because I'm divorced and have 2 children? Huamin's eyes turned red at this moment. She looked like she was about to cry. Suyu's heart ached. Mion, don't cry. I've always loved you, but I can't break up your family. I can't let Qin Chu, Pudding, and Little Bean down. Suyu knew that it was impossible in this lifetime. Even if he didn't care about anything and was with Huamin, the burden was too heavy. That was built on other people's pain. What would Qin Chu do? What would happen if the 2 children he had always loved lost their mother? How would they face rumors in the future? Therefore, even though Suyu had a fever, he still wouldn't do such a bastard thing or say such a bastard thing. Suyu, what if I created an illusion that I'm already dead? From now on, the 2 of us will live in the depths of the mountain and never go out for the rest of our lives. Let everyone think that we are dead. That way, we can be together forever, okay? Mion, why did you do this? Suyu looked at her. Because I owe you too much. I can't pay you back in this lifetime, but I don't know if there will be a next life. Before Suyu could speak, the woman in front of him spoke again. Even if there really is a next life, I'm afraid that you'll forget about me. At this point, Hwa-min teared up. Suyu's heart ached. He raised his hand to wipe away her tears, but before he could touch her, he stopped. He lost consciousness in an instant. The woman in front of him had a pair of electric gloves on her hands. While Suyu wasn't paying attention, she electrocuted him and knocked him out. Then when he wakes up, he would think that everything was a dream, right? The woman stood up with a smile, the corners of her lips curling up slightly. He picked up the golden mask in her hand and put it back on her face. Then, she walked out of the cabin. Jack heard the sound and quickly turned around. How was it? Did he believe you? Of course, even Hua Sichin believed me, why wouldn't he? The woman smiled proudly. She had already expected that she would be able to fool Suyu and successfully fool Hua Sichin. You're amazing, young madam. You even managed to fool someone who has been with Hwa-min for years, Jack flattered. Actually, what I'm looking forward to the most is whether or not I can fool the man who has been sleeping with her for years. Chin-chu. Jack's eyelids twitched as he guessed the woman's words. Chapter 4005. When she received Xiao Qingyao's call that night, Hwa-min calmly agreed. Because of the secrecy of this matter, Hwa-min and Chin-chu didn't let anyone know. Because this matter had already exceeded the scope of what his good friends could help with. Chin-chu and Hwa-min agreed to put on a number of GPS devices for Hwa-min. Then Hwa-min carried a black backpack. She took some things that she thought would be useful. Xiao Qingya asked her to wait at a cliff behind South Hill Manor at 10:00 in the evening. Someone would pick her up in a helicopter. Hwa-min found a long black cotton-padded jacket that she felt most comfortable. However, her belly was still very obvious, and it was inconvenient for her to walk. Chin-chu specially found a pair of non-slip shoes for her. He also brought her a scarf, gloves, and a hat in case she was cold. Honey. Yes. I'll come back alive, Hwa-min admitted again. Yes. I must bring Siyu back safely. Yes. After Hwa-min said that, she hugged Chin-chu's neck tightly as if she couldn't bear to let go. Honey, if I don't come back, you'll definitely come back. Let's not talk about anything else. Chin-chu knew what Hwa-min wanted to say, so he immediately dismissed her idea. Chin-chu couldn't bear to hear such inauspicious and emotional words. He never thought about what would happen if Hwa-min died one day. Because in his mind, Hwa-min would never die. Never. Okay, I won't talk about it. After packing up, Hwa-min and Chin-chu walked out of the bedroom. I want to see Pudding and Little Bean. Chin-chu did not say anything, but his mood was not quite right. He walked in front and pushed open the door to the children's bedroom. Hwa-min tiptoed into the room. The two kids were exhausted. They were all sound asleep. Hwa-min wanted to kiss them, but he was afraid of waking them up. In the end, he just quietly stared at the two of them for a while. Then, he took out his phone and secretly took a photo before reluctantly leaving. In front of the door, hubby, I'll walk the rest of the way alone. Mian, be careful. Dad and I will find you based on your location, no matter where you are. Don't provoke them, they probably have a purpose. Agree to whatever conditions they have. You're pregnant, so you must take care of yourself. Chin-chu gave a final warning. I know, hubby. You can go back. Hwa-min turned around to open the door. Then, she stopped in her tracks, turned around abruptly, and fiercely kissed Chin-chu on the lips. Without waiting for Chin-chu to react, she quickly pulled out of his embrace and left. The moment Hwa-min closed the door, Chin Chu suddenly burst into tears. He had been suppressing his tears for a long time, but he didn't want her to see it. If she left, he would feel uneasy. He had to save Suyu. No one could change that. Chin Chu couldn't and wouldn't stop him. He only wanted to cooperate with his father-in-law and Lu Yan to get rid of all the conspiracy theorists in one fell swoop. As long as he could bring back Huamin and Suyu safely, everything would be fine. Chin Chu stood at the door and watched Huamin walk away. When Huamin disappeared, he suddenly felt that Huamin was extremely beautiful at that moment. His wife would always be the most beautiful woman in the world in his heart. Chu, why are you standing here? Chin Chu's mother heard his voice and got up to walk downstairs. Oh, nothing. Your dad also asked me to ask you if you've booked the wedding banquet. Some of our old friends are coming. Prepare a few more tables for us, Mrs. Chin instructed. Hearing the word wedding, Chin Chu seemed to be even sadder. I got it, Mom. He lowered his head and went upstairs. Half an hour after Huamin left, Chin Chu received a call from Rick in the States. Chu, listen to me. This is very serious. I've found some clues. Mr. Y is just a small fry. The person behind him is very dangerous. You and Huamin can't act rashly. Lu Yan will be back soon. I suggest you talk to her about this. It's too late. She's already gone. Chin Chu seemed to have expected that things wouldn't be as simple as they seemed, so when he answered Rick, his voice was full of despair. He seemed to know that if he was careless this time, his Mion would never come back. Chapter 4006. After Huamin left, Chin Chu couldn't fall asleep for the entire night. Yes, he couldn't fall asleep at all because he didn't know what kind of danger his wife would face. Although they had done almost everything they could think of, they were still worried that there might be other variables. After his father cracked the code, there was no news from him. But he said that she was back. Chin Chu was also confused. If it was someone that even the professor was afraid of, then it must be a very scary person. They stayed like this until dawn. Little Bean and Pudding woke up in a daze and Little Bean walked over barefoot. She pushed open the bedroom door and said, Daddy, I want to wear the dress that Auntie Chin Ning bought for me, but Grandma can't find it. Can you ask Mommy where she put it? Little Bean didn't know that her mommy wasn't home, so she stood in front of the bedroom door in a daze. Chin Chu quickly got up and carried Little Bean, who was standing barefoot on the floor. Mommy isn't home. Daddy will help you find it. Ha! It's so early. Mommy isn't home. Where did she go? She went to help the company with something, Chin Chu said perfunctorily. So early. You're so hardworking. Daddy, help me find it. It's the red and white dress with the KT cat. Little Bean sat in her daddy's arms and continued to look for the dress. Chin Chu didn't say anything and took Little Bean back to the bedroom to look for it. When they went in, Pudding had already put on her first outfit. Pudding was dressed simply in a snow-white sweater and slightly thick leggings. Sis, do you want to wear the KT cat with me? No, it's childish. After saying this, Pudding held her phone and went downstairs to eat. Although the sisters were twins, Pudding's taste had improved recently, while Little Bean's taste was still stuck in cartoons. So, naturally, there was a difference of opinion. Chin Chu spent a lot of effort to find the dress that Little Bean wanted from the bottom of the box. Then, he helped his daughter put it on. Thank you, Comrade Old Chin. You are really a qualified father. I love you. After Little Bean got what she wanted, she kissed Chin Chu on the cheek and quickly went downstairs to eat. Mom, you don't have to send the kids to school today. You don't have to do that for the next few days. Just stay at home and play, Chin-Chu said before leaving the house. What's wrong? This is. Chin-Chu's mother was puzzled. It's nothing. It's winter and the flu is coming. There are a lot of viral colds in the school. I'm afraid that the two of them will be infected. Chin-Chu made up an excuse, but it was enough to convince everyone. Daddy is so smart. Little Bean, who didn't like going to school, gave him a thumbs up. Daddy, I'm bored at home. Why don't I go to the company with you? Pudding had always been interested in business, so she wanted to go to work with her father. The company is a little busy these few days. Let's wait for a while. You guys can rest at home first. Without saying a word, Chin-Chu left the house with his briefcase. Daddy's mood is a little strange today. Did you quarrel with Mommy? Pudding felt that something was wrong. No way. Mommy is on a business trip. How could they quarrel? Business trip? Pudding frowned slightly. Yeah. Daddy said that Mommy left early in the morning because she had something urgent to deal with, Little Bean said matter-of-factly. Pudding was not very happy and analyzed, Mommy is about to give birth. How urgent could it be that she has to deal with a pregnant woman? Ha! Sister, you have a point. Little Bean suddenly realized. Grandma, do you know that Mommy is on a business trip? Pudding was not in the mood to eat breakfast. She looked up and asked her grandma. Chapter 4007. Mrs. Chin carefully recalled what happened last night. Last night, I saw your daddy sending someone to the door. I think that's when your mommy left. Did something happen at Grandma's house? Pudding guessed. Don't make wild guesses, you two. I trust your daddy. If he can let your mommy go, she'll be fine. Pudding thought that her grandpa had a point. Her dad had always been reliable and loved her mommy more than anyone else. He probably wouldn't let her take the risk, right? 9 a.m., Chin-Chu summoned a group of people to his office and prepared to announce the truth of the matter. After all, Huamin had already done what Zhao Qingya asked, so he didn't care if others knew. Chin-Chu only mentioned two important points. First, Siyu was indeed kidnapped by Zhao Qingya, but his life was not in danger. Second, Zhao Qingya asked Huamin to save him by himself, and Huamin went. Everyone was shocked by what they heard. Gao ran, I was wondering why you asked me to investigate Zhao Qingya. So, she's the mastermind. Chin-Chu, she's not the mastermind. There's someone more powerful behind the scenes. Tang Chuan, damn, this woman must be crazy. She's not dead yet. I thought she died in prison. Oh no, if it were her, Lord Su would be dead. Her sister died in Lord Su's house, and she was in prison for so long. She must be full of resentment. Wei Liao, do you know where they are right now? Chin-Chu, I don't think they're there yet. I put multiple trackers on Mian. We'll only know their exact location when we get there. Jiang Xiaowei, Mian's an idiot. Why didn't she tell us? The more people there are, the better. Why is she alone? Chin-Chu, Zhao Qingya has high-level hackers who can even monitor my conversation with Mian. She probably has spies here too. That's why she didn't dare to contact you guys. She was afraid that Su Yu would be in danger. I investigated Zhao Qingya in the States and angered her. In the video she sent me, Su Yu was shot twice. That's a warning. Tang Chuan, what? Shot. Tang Chuan was scared out of his wits. Everyone else was also very nervous when they heard that Huamian was shot. Chin-Chu, it's all around her collarbone. Her life isn't in danger, so she's fine. I think Xiao Qingya was just warning her. Wei Liao, this woman must be crazy, but isn't that even more dangerous? Them Wei Liao was referring to, of course, Huamin and Su Yu. The strange thing was, everyone was expressing their opinions. Qi Ning was also very anxious. However, Zhu Lingling, Huamin's best friend, kept her head down and didn't say anything. Lingling, what's wrong? Gao Ran noticed that Zhu Lingling was a bit off and patted her shoulder. Zhu Lingling immediately exploded. Qin Chu, how could you let Mian go alone? She's pregnant and about to give birth. How could you let her go alone? Zhu Lingling's cries were heart-wrenching and her accusations were so loud that everyone was shocked. Qin Chu slowly lowered his head. After a long while, he finally said, "We owe the Su family a lot, especially Mian. She's always remembered this kindness. She's said countless times that no matter what difficulties Su Yu faced, she would be willing to go through fire and water for him. Now that Su Yu is kidnapped, she's a coward because of the baby in her belly. If Su Yu dies because of this, she'll live in guilt for the rest of her life. She'd rather die than live that way. I don't want that, and neither does Mian." After Qin Chu said this, everyone fell silent. Huamin's promises were never just empty words. She was indebted to the Su family. Now, she was afraid of death and was hiding. That was never her. Have you thought about what would happen if she didn't come back? Mian and the baby would die together. Zhu Lingling questioned Qin Chu in a choked voice. Lingling, that's enough. Gao Ran couldn't listen anymore. At this time, saying these things would only make Qin Chu feel worse. In this world, no one cared about Huamin more than Qin Chu. No one. Chapter 4008. Lingling, the most important thing right now is to think of a way to save them. Nothing else matters. Jiang Xiaowei also comforted Zhu Lingling. Chu, didn't you set up a tracker? Give me a location and I'll send people over. Gao Ran was very good at mobilizing people. I don't want the police to come out this time, Qin Chu said in a low voice. The police are too obvious a target. They might alert the enemy, Wei Liao said. I can send plainclothes officers. As long as we confirm the location, I can also contact the local police to help us. This is a kidnapping, a very bad case. Su Yu's identity is special. Even the military can help, Gao Ran added. The military can't do it either. It'll cause too much of a commotion. Didn't my brother and Rick say that these people are very powerful? We can't treat them as ordinary kidnappers. More people might not be a good thing. They might even make things worse. Qi Ning understood her brother's words, so she patiently explained to everyone. Qin Chu, can you set a location now? Let me see where Mian is. Jiang Xiaowei was the woman with the highest IQ other than Huamin. I'll try. Qin Chu turned on his computer and entered a string of codes. Then, he saw a little red dot moving towards the south at a very fast speed. Mian is still moving at high speed. Judging by her speed, she must still be on the plane. She hasn't stopped, so we can't be sure where she's going. Qin Chu looked at the map on his laptop with a heavy heart. Qin Chu, I suggest you go talk to Lord Su and see if the military has a way to accurately locate her with radar. I've already asked Lord Su to meet me at the mansion in 2 hours. Qin Chu and Jiang Xiaowei thought of the same thing. No one dared to give any more suggestions in case they caused more trouble. During this time, Qin Chu and Rick talked on the phone again. Shaowen sat at the side and listened. He didn't have a chance to interrupt because he knew he couldn't do anything. However, when he heard the content of Qin Chu's call, he was a little excited. Because it involved Lu Yan. After hanging up the phone, Qin Chu's expression seemed to relax a little. I have good news. Lu Yan will be here at midnight. Everyone was shocked, except for those who didn't know Lu Yan's real identity, and was so excited that he almost cried. Great! With Lu Yan here, President Su and Huamin can be saved. He admired Lu Yan so much that he was obsessed with her. With Lu Yan, it'll be fine. We can handle everything. Gao Ran didn't know how powerful Lu Yan was, but judging from Qin Chu's tone, Huamian's sister seemed to have a powerful background. After the meeting, everyone left. Qin Chu drove to visit the Su family alone. Of course, she had to tell Grandpa Su, Father Su, and Mother Su everything without hiding anything. Except for Huamin's father and sister, he told everyone the truth. At this moment Huamin was on a private plane. The environment was very good, and the air conditioner was very warm. Other than the captain and the attendants, there were 8 men in black on the plane. They were all wearing masks, but judging from their figures and skin color, they were undoubtedly foreigners. Huamin thought that Zhao Qingya was really capable. Before she went to prison, she didn't have such a smart brain and meticulous plan. Do you want something to eat? A man wearing a mask walked over and asked in perfect English. Chapter 4009. Bread and water are fine. Thank you. Huamin answered in fluent English. Soon, bread and water were served. Huamin wasn't in a hurry to eat. She took out the knife and fork she carried with her. Of course, this wasn't an ordinary knife and fork. This was a knife and fork that had been soaked in her own special concoction. It would recognize any drug ingredients left on the food. In other words, if someone had tampered with the food, even if it was just a little bit, even if it was colorless and odorless, she would still test it out. This was just like how in TV dramas, some chivalrous people like to test for poison with silver hairpins. Huamin seemed to be cutting the bread with the knife and fork, but she was actually testing it out. She wanted to see if the food was clean. Now, she had to be careful with every step. After all, she was pregnant. Huamian's spoon stirred the water in the cup. Those people thought that she just felt that the water was too hot and wanted to stir it to cool it down. However, only Huamin knew the meaning of this. In the surveillance footage, Huamin's face was displayed in high definition. The woman sitting in the chair had a smile in her eyes. Look. She's so smart. She's afraid that the food will be tampered with. She even knows to bring her own food, just like her father. Master, I think Miss Mian is more like you in terms of intelligence. An older maid was wearing a gypsy outfit. It was a white floral robe that covered her head, making her look like a witch. The woman sitting in the golden chair was wearing a white crystal mask. Although only her face could be seen, she was extremely stunning. It was as if one would be intoxicated just by looking at her. Do you think she's better than Layla? The woman in the crystal mask asked coquettishly. This. I really don't dare to say. The maid lowered her head. Then let these children compete. Young people are always young and energetic. The woman smiled. She looked very beautiful when she smiled. Master, are you planning to meet the professor? I'll meet him when it's time. The woman looked at Huamin on the screen, who was slowly eating bread and drinking water with his head lowered. As an ordinary person, Huamin was already outstanding. However, compared to Layla, it was really hard to say. Inside the forest, the golden-masked woman never took off her mask again. She and Jack were having fun in the off-road house. His voice was so loud that the people around him blushed. Zhao Qingya was quite displeased. She didn't like this woman very much because she always felt that this woman didn't treat them as human beings. At dinner, Mr. Y personally went to invite the masked girl and Jack to the main building. The table was filled to the brim with food, dazzling the eyes. "Young master, I heard that you like to eat cobra meat. There are many of these snakes here. Why don't you try it and see if it's to your liking?" Mr. Y flattered. The masked woman leaned on Jack's shoulder and smiled. "I like to eat king cobras, not cobras." "Ah. Then I'll order people to look for it immediately. However, this isn't India. I'm afraid it won't be easy to find this kind of snake," Mr. Y added. "If you can't find it, then go die." The woman's smile was cold, which terrified Mr. Y instantly. At this moment, a lackey accidentally spilled some soup on the masked woman's skirt when he was serving the dishes. He was so frightened that he immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. "Young master. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Get up first." The woman waved her hand, her tone extremely gentle. However, Jack smelled a trace of blood. He was afraid that this demon was about to reveal her true form again. Sure enough, before the lackey could stand up straight, Yizichen's eyes lit up. There was a scream. After Zhao Qingya saw clearly, her heart almost jumped out of her chest. Even Jack and Mr. Y almost vomited on the spot. The masked woman twisted the man's head off easily, and blood splattered all over the ground. Then, she weighed the head in her hand. What an idiot. "Oh, do you like steamed or braised?" She held the head and asked everyone with a smile. Chapter 40:10. No one dared to say anything. The masked girl threw the head into Zhao Qingya's arms. The force was so strong that it almost knocked her down. "It's for you. Eat the head to beautify yourself." The masked girl smiled. Zhao Qingya was so scared that she threw the head to the ground and screamed with her hands covering her mouth. She looked terrified. She had never seen such a scene before. Mr. Y was a pervert, but he only smoked and played with women. The one in front of her was disgusting. She was so perverted that it was beyond her imagination. Ignoring Zhao Qingya's craziness, the masked girl sat down. "Let's eat." Then, she picked up her chopsticks and started eating with relish. Jack, who was on the side, watched her eat and didn't dare to say a word. He ate quietly, and Mr. Y didn't dare to fart. He had always communicated with this young master by phone or video call. He didn't know that she was so bloody and cruel. He felt like he was walking on thin ice every moment. "Will Huamin arrive today?" the masked girl asked as she ate. "Yes, young master. If there are no accidents, they will arrive here in 3 hours." "Yes, very good." The woman nodded. She had tried to capture Huamian a few times, but she was stopped every time. Now that she had captured him seriously, it was impossible for him to escape. They all said that Huamin was a genius. She really wanted to see what a genius was like. Would he be better than her? At the door of Su Yu's mansion. And was surprised that Han Yueyao found him here. So, he was surprised when he opened the door. "Miss Han, why are you here? And, is President Su back?" Hearing her question, and immediately replied, "Not yet. He's still busy out of town." Then why didn't he reply to any WeChat messages? It's not his style. Oh, it's an emergency. It's not convenient for him to use his cell phone. I see. Okay. I just passed by a supermarket. It's a good deal. I bought some vegetables, fruits, and meat for you. Han Yueyao handed the food bag to An. No, we don't cook for ourselves. Basically, President Su and I eat in the company cafeteria, takeout, or outside. That's not clean. Aren't you afraid of gutter oil? Ha, take it. If you don't know how to do it, you can call me. With a shy smile, she turned and ran away. And sighed slightly. This was another woman who had fallen for President Su. Back then, Xingro was also like this. She stayed at home to buy things, cook, and wash dishes. But in the end, An understood that the person in President Su's heart was irreplaceable. Although he thought Han Yueyao was a nice girl who was clean, straightforward, and most importantly, likable, he didn't want to offend her. However, everything depended on Su Yu. The most important thing now was for Su Yu to come back safely. After secretly visiting the Su family, Qin Chu returned to the company. No one knew what he and Lord Su were plotting. No one asked because they all knew that Qin Chu had always been reliable. Lu Yan arrived in the middle of the night. And had volunteered to pick her up from the airport. But he was slightly disappointed when he heard that Lu Yan was on her private jet. Qin Chu could tell that An liked Lu Yan, so he invited him to meet him at a suburban hot spring hotel owned by GK in the middle of the night. On the way here, An didn't forget to buy a roasted sweet potato and put it in his arms, afraid that it would get cold. It was 12:35 a.m. Lu Yan took a private jet and then a helicopter to the rendezvous point. She was wearing a black windbreaker that shone in the middle of the night. She flew down from the helicopter, her movements extremely nimble. When Shaoan saw that figure, he was extremely excited. Chapter 40:11. Qin Chu and An hurried over. Brother-in-law, Lu Yan said. She glanced at An and nodded without a word. It's cold outside. Let's talk inside. Qin Chu took Lu Yan to the hot spring hotel. This time, only 2 people came with Lu Yan. They were both Chinese and didn't look like ordinary people. In the small conference room of the hot spring hotel, the 3 of them sat down. Before he could speak, Lu Yan took out a small device and pressed the switch. Then she said, "You can talk now." And guessed that it was an anti-tracking device. Your sister has been taken away by those people. I took a look at their sighting location. It's the center of a certain primitive forest in Yunnan. There's no specific name or map on the map because that place hasn't been developed yet. Usually, it's not used by outsiders. That's more difficult. It's like those bastards, Lu Yan said coldly. This is the information Rick sent back from the States. It's about Mr. Y. Qin Chu handed it to Lu Yan and was about to show it to her. To his surprise, Lu Yan shook her head. Brother-in-law, I have all the information on Rick. Rick can't find out what I can find, so I know who these people are. You know everything. Qin Chu wasn't surprised since Lu Yan had always been well informed. Lu Yan nodded. After working with Rick, I plan to go to the Golden Triangle. That bastard Chao Nan is ready to make a big move. But after hearing about my sister, I immediately came back. The people behind Mr. Y are indeed not simple wolves and tigers. I finally understand why Ian and Nalo have been so quiet recently and haven't attacked me or my sister. I thought they didn't want the things in Dad's hands. But now it seems that's not the case. Qin Chu understood what she meant and said, they don't dare to make a move because they know these people are involved. Yes. That bastard Ian looks fierce, but he's actually a coward. There's only one reason why he doesn't dare to make a move, and that's because we've been targeted by a more powerful enemy. Doomsday Reaper, Qin Chu said only 4 words. And was dumbfounded by what he heard. Doomsday Reaper. Was there really such an organization? I always thought it was made up. Rumor has it that their methods are extremely violent and cruel. Even terrorists have to avoid them. It's said that the places they go are like purgatory on Earth. Shaoan had also heard people talk about it before when they were bragging. However, he had always thought that this was a legendary organization that did not exist. But today, after hearing Qin Chu talk about it with Lu Yan, and felt it wasn't as simple as it seemed. Yan, how much do you know about this organization? Qin Chu placed his hope on Lu Yan. Hearing this, Lu Yan's expression turned grim. 5 seconds later, she slowly replied. Brother-in-law, I know nothing about this organization. Qin Chu's heart sank. Even Lu Yan didn't know much about this organization, let alone others. Queen Smoke, have you never fought with them before? Shaoan asked. Never. In the past few years, all the organizations that could fight with them were basically wiped out. Not a single one of them survived. My understanding of them is the same as yours. It's just a rumor. That's troublesome. And began to worry. If Xiao Qinya was a member of Doomsday Reaper, then President Su was doomed. Brother-in-law, how much do you know about them? Lu Yan asked Qin Chu. Qin Chu slowly took out a lighter from his pocket. And Lu Yan were both shocked by the pattern on the lighter. Chapter 40:12. You have a token from them. Lu Yan stared at the lighter in astonishment. The Doomsday Death God was a mysterious organization. They weren't as high profile as Ian and the other terrorists. They didn't carry out missions as frequently as Lu Yan, but everyone was afraid of offending them. Yeah. Qin Chu nodded and didn't say anything else. Then, Shaoan stood up and said, I'll go get you some water. He knew Qin Chu and Lu Yan might not be able to trust him, but he knew he couldn't be trusted. With him around, it wasn't appropriate for the two of them to talk, so he found an excuse to sneak out. Qin Chu slowly told Lu Yan about the past. Qin Chu didn't think much about it at the time, but now it seemed that this matter was related. Perhaps these people had already started plotting against them back then. Qin Chu held the lighter and said to Lu Yan, I heard about the rumors about the Doomsday Death God in the US, and Rick's family also knew a little about it. So later, when Ian came to our city and even went to see Mian, I used this lighter to test Ian. From his terrified expression, I was sure that this lighter was authentic and was made by the Doomsday Death God. Brother-in-law, where did you get this lighter? Lu Yan's expression was unprecedentedly serious. Yes, even a desperado like her didn't want to have anything to do with that organization. Because it was an organization that couldn't be more perverted and disgusting. It was beyond what humans could bear. Qin Chu's thoughts went back to 4 years ago. At that time, he was in a bad mood in the US. After being tricked by Hua Xiqian, he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. He didn't return to China because of his leg injury. Most of the time, Qin Chu stayed in his room alone. Looking into the distance, he thought about Huamin and his children. Later, seeing that he was too bored, Qin Ning suggested taking her brother to a party. At first, Qin Chu refused, but later he found out that this party wasn't that simple. At that time, Qin Ning had a best friend in the United States who was a rich second-generation heir. The people she invited to the party she organized were all famous and influential people. Then, Qin Chu saw Rafi's, the South American drug lord, on the invitation list. Therefore, he felt that this party was not safe. In order to protect Qin Ning, he followed her as her personal bodyguard. It was also because of that incident that Qin Chu saw a young woman wearing a mask in the back garden of the owner's house. It seemed that he was drunk or had been fed something. In short, her footsteps were disorderly and her expression was abnormal. But he was surrounded by a group of black ghosts. Qin Chu held his wine glass and looked down. Those people were tearing the woman's clothes apart. Meddling in other people's business was never Qin Chu's style. He must have pretended not to see it and turned to leave. But that woman just had to look at him with a longing gaze. Although they were separated by a mask and not very close, Qin Chu still felt that the woman's eyes were very similar to Huomin's. Or it could be said that she looked like Huomin for a moment. Therefore, Qin Chu jumped down and took down all the black people. The woman stood up shakily as if she wanted to give Qin Chu a hug. Qin Chu wanted to avoid it. He never had physical contact with any woman other than Huomin. This was a habit for many years. At that time, the woman smiled and said, "Can I borrow a fire?" Chapter 40:13. Surprised, Qin Chu took out a lighter from his pocket and handed it to the woman. After that, they no longer interacted with each other. It was a normal thing, but Qin Chu was surprised when he came home that night. He found that his lighter was missing. He had used it when he was in high school. It was his birthday, and Huomian spent the weekend handing out flyers to save up money to buy him a famous brand. It had a picture of a cute dolphin, which was Huomin's favorite animal. Qin Chu had used it for many years, but he didn't want to throw it away, even though he had changed the flint several times. So, when he lost his lighter, he was very angry. Then, he found that there was a lighter in his pocket with a skull totem on it. At first, he didn't know what it was. Then, Rick saw it and said it looked familiar. They checked it and found that it was the symbol of the Doomsday Reaper. At that time, Rick joked that the woman Qin Chu saved that night was a crazy fan of the Doomsday Reaper. Maybe she was addicted to it and made a fake one. But Qin Chu didn't think it was that simple. The weirdest thing was that he didn't even know when it was switched. Furthermore, how fast would a personal item have to be in order for it to be swapped out without anyone noticing? So, Qin Chu didn't throw away the lighter in the past few years. When Ian came, he was also testing him. As expected, Ian's expression reflected the truth of this matter. Qin Chu had never told anyone about it. If he didn't find out about this mysterious organization, he would have never told anyone. After all, he was sad that he lost the lighter Huomin gave him. Qin Chu didn't want to tell anyone about it. After telling him about it, Lu Yan fell silent. After a while, she looked up at Qin Chu and said slowly, "Brother-in-law, I think that woman got close to you with a purpose. That's why she kept this." "Yeah, I think so too." "Then, do you still remember the specific details?" "I don't remember. I just remember that her eyes were very similar to Mian's." Qin Chu carefully recalled that night a few years ago. His memory was a little fuzzy. But what was certain was that if that woman's eyes didn't look like Huomin's, he wouldn't have saved her. It seems this is a trap. Lu Yan felt a headache coming on. Not to mention that it involved the Muri Reaper. The key problem was that they didn't know what those people would do next. This was an opponent who didn't know the situation at all. How could they fight this battle? Could it be related to the thing in the professor's hands? Qin Chu asked. It's also possible. Right now, everything is unknown, so it's hard to say. Brother-in-law, give me the location of my sister. I'll go and save her. Lu Yan was worried about Huomin, who was about to give birth. Therefore, he couldn't wait any longer. Yan, if this is a trap, you might fall into their trap if you go. Maybe they're after you and Mian. Even so, I can't care so much. No matter what, I can't watch my sister stay there forever. How about this? We'll set off in a while and split up. I've already designed the map. We'll enter from 2 entrances in the forest. It should distract them. Okay. I'll go and prepare the plane. Lu Yen stood up with a serious expression and turned to leave. As soon as she walked out, and immediately went up to her with a shy look on his face. Queen Yen. Your sweet potato, and carefully took out the hot roasted sweet potato from his arms. Chapter 40:14. Lu Yan's attention was on her sister, Huamin, and she didn't have time to think about the food and brought her. Turning her watch, she waved her hand with her index finger to show that she didn't want to eat. Just like that, Shaoan was completely ignored just like that. He put the roasted sweet potato carefully in his pocket, afraid that Lu Yan would ask him for more if she got hungry. Anne's gesture was heartwarming, but to Lu Yan, it was just a drop in the bucket and couldn't solve the problem at all. Qin Chu's mind was in a mess. He had been in a mess ever since he left, at the Sky Blessing Court. Jixin slept well and slept soundly no matter what sounds he heard at night. But Bella couldn't. She was a light sleeper, and with Huamin and Qin Chu's instructions, she had to be more careful. In the middle of the night, she was awakened by strange sounds. Wearing pajamas, Bella walked downstairs with a flashlight on her cell phone. Downstairs was Yang Meirong and Jingda's room. The moment Bella went downstairs, she ran into Yang Meirong who was coming out of the door. Mom, why are you did you also hear strange sounds? Yang Meirong looked at Bella in horror. Bella nodded, feeling scared. Mom, what's that sound? I don't know. It seems to be in the kitchen. Yang Meirong and Bella walked toward the kitchen cautiously. Before they reached the door, they heard a cold voice behind them. What are you doing? They looked back at the same time and Yang Meirong saw Jingda walk out of the bedroom. His face was gloomy and his eyes were gloomy. Didn't you hear strange sounds? Are you talking about the birds I bought during the day? Birds? Yang Meirong was surprised. Yes. I went to the bird market during the day and bought some birds. I planned to give them to Pudding and Little Bean. Jingda's face was dark and his voice was cold, showing no kindness. I see. Then it must be the birds. I thought a thief broke into the house. Obviously, Yang Meirong believed Jingda and didn't go near the kitchen. Bella had no choice but to turn around and head upstairs. Bella, go to bed. You and Jixin have to go to work tomorrow, Yang Meirong reminded her daughter-in-law. Okay, then you should rest early too, Mom. When Bella went upstairs, she didn't forget to look back at the kitchen. It was a strange feeling. She didn't think that it was the sound of a little bird. Instead, she felt that the sound was very mournful. However, since her mother-in-law believed that person's words, what else could she say? It seemed that Sister Mian and President Qin were right. There was something wrong with this guy, so it was better to keep an eye on him. Yang Meirong and Jingda went back to their bedroom and fell asleep again. At 2 in the morning Jingda quietly walked to the kitchen again. No one saw what he did. But when he came out, there was blood at the corner of his mouth, and there was a strange smile in his eyes. On the other hand, after Huamin arrived at the destination by helicopter, he was driven by an off-road vehicle for a long distance on the mountain road. The journey was bumpy. She carefully protected her belly, afraid that the baby would not be used to it. Finally, the off-road vehicle slowly entered the bamboo buildings. It stopped in an open space where Zhao Qingya had been waiting for a long time. Today, she wore a long red dress to provoke him or something else. She was dressed in a flamboyant and coquettish style. The car door opened and Huamin walked out slowly. Zhao Qingya smiled smugly. Whoa! Look who's here. TSK, TSK. Isn't this our genius doctor? Chapter 40:15. Huamin got out of the car with a small bag in her hand. Although her figure was bloated, she didn't have any makeup on her face. Visually, she wasn't as gorgeous as Zhao Qingya, but Huamin's aura didn't lose to anyone. After getting out of the car, she looked around. Then, she looked at Zhao Qingya and replied with disdain, "Superstar Zhao, it's been a while." "Yeah, Huamin, it's been a long time since we've seen each other." Zhao Qingya blamed everything that had happened to her today on Su Yu and Huamin. She thought that it was the two of them who caused the situation, so the moment she saw Huamin, she was ready to make a move. She seemed to be the kind of person who thought, "You're finally in my territory, I can torture you to death." "Where's Su Yu?" Huamin didn't want to waste time with this brainless woman, so she asked Su Yu directly. You're very concerned about him. Why do you want to see him so much?" Huamin didn't say anything. She knew from Zhao Qingya's smug look that she wouldn't let her see Su Yu easily. Sure enough, Zhao Qingya held a fan made of banana leaves in her hand and waved it back and forth. "You want to see Su Yu?" "Sure. He's a great doctor, a great director, and a peerless genius. You have to crawl under my crotch first. Then I'll consider letting you see your wild man." Huamian burst into laughter upon hearing this. "What are you laughing at?" Huamin's smile made Zhao Qingya's hair stand on end. She knew that this woman had a lot of ideas and was afraid that she would make a mistake. "I'm laughing. Woman, have you watched too many anti-Japanese dramas? You even want me to crawl under your crotch. Aren't you afraid that your life will be shortened? Can you afford it? Huamin, can't you see the situation you're in? You're in my territory. Even if I cut off your flesh piece by piece, you won't be able to fight back. Do you know what it means to walk right into a trap?" Zhao Qingya tried to regain some of her momentum, so her voice became louder. He pointed at Huamin's nose and almost scolded him. "Stop pretending, Zhao Qingya. You're not the owner of this place. You're just an errand boy. Your boss is still hiding behind the scenes, right? Does he still not want to see me?" Zhao Qingya's expression changed drastically after hearing this. Huamin's observation skills were indeed top-notch. Zhao Qingya was also embarrassed that she was able to discover all of this. She had wanted to pretend to be the big sister and the mistress of the house, but now, she had been exposed. What should she do? While the two were confronting each other, in the westernmost bamboo building, the golden-masked woman, wearing a bathrobe, leaned on the sofa and watched the surveillance screen. Jack stood behind her with a glass of red wine in his hand. "So that's all there is to a genius. I don't think she's any different from an ordinary person," the masked woman said. Huamin is an ordinary person. Geniuses and whatnot are all hype. Only those two idiots, Qin Chu and Su Yu, would think that woman is a rare treasure. In my eyes, she's just a bitch. Jack smiled viciously. "Oh, you make it sound like you don't have any feelings for her. Didn't you want to sleep with her before?" "I did it on purpose. I wanted to ruin her relationship with Qin Chu and destroy Huasiqian's image of the goddess. But you didn't succeed in the end, right?" The woman smiled. "So, young madam, are you mocking me?" Jack leaned over and licked the woman's neck gently with his tongue. "You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.